The following podcast contains explicit language
and spicy takes
that may not be suitable for all listeners. Viewer discretion is advised.
Torchwood. Outside the government, beyond the police. Tracking down alien life on Earth and arming the human race against the future. The 21st century is when everything changes. And you've gotta be ready.
I'm the Doctor.
And I'm the companion.
And this is Dango Who Torchwood Edition.
That's right. As part of our mission to review all of the episodes of New Who, we're also going to be tackling the side series and companion show,
Torchwood. Also created by Russell T Davies, who was the showrunner of the first 4 seasons of New Who.
If you are new to our stuff, hey, we're Dango Duo, and we have been talking about Doctor Who for quite a bit now. Mm-hmm. We have several episodes, which are nice, chunky podcasts, where we go episode by episode, and we talk about our whole feelings. Kitty here has more experience with Doctor Who than I have.
It's true.
I'm in fact, the companion, and I'm the one who's learning things for the first time.
I am showing you the wonderful universe, and sometimes bizarre universe that is Doctor Who.
Yep. And this is my first experience watching Torchwood.
So Torchwood is basically the spin-off of Doctor Who created by Russell T Davies. It's based around the secret organization that you get introduced to in season 2, also named Torchwood. And it's about basically the government finding alien artifacts, using them to their own advantage, finding ways to arm the human race against aliens. This series follows Captain Jack Harkness, our boy is back! Gwen Cooper, Yanto Jones, Owen Harper, and Toshiko Sato, all the members of Cardiff, Wales, Torchwood, and their misadventures with alien life.
Yep.
Our point of view character is actually Gwen for the most part, so, we don't actually follow Jack, even though you think he's the main character from all of the promotional image.
Jack is in the center of all the posters and the DVDs, and
we'll talk more about this, but I actually like having Gwen as a focus character rather than Jack.
I'm gonna give you a little spoiler. I actually kind of like Gwen.
I love Gwen, even though we'll talk about.
There's a lot to talk about in this season.
But first of all,
12 episodes total.
13.
There's 13 episodes total.
Yeah, but first of all, let's do an overall. I warned you beforehand that Torchwood is basically the adultier version of Doctor Who. A little more gritty, a little more blood, a little more sexual.
And a whole lot more queer.
Hell yeah.
Geez, hell to the freaking yeah.
Yeah,
it's
by
so
episode
good.
7 we got lesbian. No, actually, by episode 2 we have lesbians.
It's true. It's true. This is definitely, there's a lot of queer representation in this show. Mm-hmm. And considering how it came out, almost 15 years ago.
2006.
It definitely feels ahead of its time, and there's definitely... It's not perfect. Let's just come out and say this right now. The show is not perfect by any means, but it shows its queer characters with a level of dignity that is impossible to find even now in 2020.
I have not actually told you this, but Russell T Davies is gay.
Wait, really?
Yep.
Well, why didn't you tell me this?
I forgot, honestly.
Well, that explains how he wrote Jack Harkness the way that he did, because, see, I think we talked about this.
Well, see,
I feel like we talked about this on the previous episodes of Doctor Who leading up to this.
Yeah.
Where, I was saying that I have trouble believing that a straight man, a straight white man would write Jack to be as gay as he is.
I forgot, Russell T Davies is gay.
Wow!
See, but there's 2 lines of queers writing queer characters.
Okay, yes.
There's Russell T Davies.
And then there's
Ryan Murphy.
Fuck you, Ryan Murphy, and your fucking yellow hat.
Yo. Sorry, this is a complete and utter tangent. A bunch of people have been watching Glee since they were in quarantine. And he's like, man, I'd be down for a Glee 2. He tweeted that, and everyone was like, shut the fuck up. Nobody wants Glee 2. Nobody wants you to bring back Glee. Glee was an atrocity of a show.
It was
bad. It was horrible. I mean, we may one day talk about it.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, and these uncertain times that we live in. Yeah. But there was probably the highlight of week 1 of isolation was me telling you about what happened to the actor who played Puck.
Yeah.
And then you legit losing your mind.
Yeah, I did lose my shit.
Yeah. Because
they could never do Glee 2, because
2
of the main boys are dead.
Yeah. Also, No.
Also,
Anyhow,
stop
we're
it.
talking about Torchwood here, and not
Torchwood.
Glee. If you would like us to suffer through the entirety of Glee, please support us on Patreon. Patreon.com/Dango Duo.
Nice plug. So in general, what were your thoughts of Torchwood coming off of 2 seasons of Doctor Who?
So first I gotta say that I can absolutely imagine how... I understand why this has way less views than Doctor Who. It is not family friendly.
Yeah.
It definitely has a bit of that American edge.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of curious how it's set in Wales. I actually really like that. I like the idea that it's like, there's a rift in Cardiff?
Right in the middle of Cardiff.
Yeah, and
which was established in season 1.
And I don't know how good Rhys and Wen's Welsh accents are, but
they may actually be Welsh.
They're actually incredibly charming, and I think
and Yanto with his Welsh accent.
And Yanto, and I actually really like that. Shout outs to all of our overseas viewers who are like, you guys don't know jack shit, and it's true, we don't. We don't. This is all very quaint for me.
Yeah, quite quaint.
It was, man, let me tell you, I could not get enough Jack Harkness in season 1 of Doctor Who, and it was just so good to see him back.
He's back,
and to be a full character, and
to get to kind of explore what makes him tick, what he thinks
absolutely.
about.
And we do have disclaimer. We have to make a disclaimer that we're recording these in the future.
Yes.
Right now, at this very moment.
Wibbly wobbly.
Yeah. You know,
we've gotten to that episode.
It goes blip bloop when time happens.
When there's stuff.
So disclaimer. We have actually been recording these episodes well in advance. Like our plan was to finish recording this episodes before we started putting anything up.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this right now while having your morning coffee or while drawing or just enjoying isolation, we're actually super far into the future.
We are in Torchwood season 2 at the moment.
Right now we're in Torchwood season 2.
We finished season 3 of Doctor Who.
Yep. We suffered through that.
Oh, fuck. You can actually see our journey of like recording these depending on what season we're in, because we like, fuck man, season 3. Yeah. And now we're in Torchwood season 2.
And it's fun because watching Torchwood season 2, there's a lot more of the things that I really liked in season 1.
Yeah.
And it's fun to actually be able to see that some things get addressed. Like, one of my main concerns is that there isn't a lot of Yanto in this first season.
Yeah, he is very much
and for those of you who are freaking out a little bit, yes, Kitty named our cat after Yanto Jones from Torchwood.
You know, want to know? I've probably told you this reason. Like, I looked at Yanto. I looked at Yanto before he was Yanto, and I said, that cat would look good in a suit. His name is Yanto. That's what I did.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, that's why he's named Yanto.
Aww.
Because Yanto looks good in a suit. Yanto.
Yeah, but there was definitely expectations coming in. I'm like, you know,
where's our boy?
He's adorable. He's adorable.
So cute.
He's a baby.
He's a baby.
But
every time he gets all emotional, it's like,
yeah. Oh my god! Every time he gets emotional. But I love Jack. I love how fucking queer Jack is. Not gay, he's pansexual. Yeah, everything is fair game. Omnisexual. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love Tosh.
Tosh is great.
Toshko is so fucking adorable.
She's lovely.
And I want to underline this. There isn't as much like it's funny because I would almost want the show to be like 30% Yanto, 30% Toshko, and then what's the other percentage? 40% everyone else.
Yeah,
because I really love Toshko and I really love Yanto.
Mm-hmm.
There is more of them coming, but I can definitely. At least I'm glad that later on they give them more. Like, they give a lot more to Yanto in season 2.
Yeah,
and that's amazing.
I will tell you in advance, they give a lot to Owen in season 2 as well. He gets a lot in season 1, but he gets a lot more in season 2.
Oh gee. Oh,
yeah, I know.
No, Owen is fine. It's funny because
Owen's all right.
No. Okay. We're not talking about the overall feelings yet.
Yeah.
I appreciate Owen. I appreciate Owen because he's a non-traditional male character in a story. He's not because this government group is missing the guns guy. There's no.
It's Jack.
We'll get to the greatest scene in Doctor Who history in a moment. But what I was saying is that if this show had been made by an American company, and I guess eventually will be made by an American company, there would have been a grisly Call of Duty protagonist man with a gun, always loaded up, and always being
a toxic male.
Yeah, it's like, you will take these guns from my cold dead fingers.
Yeah.
That kind of character. There isn't anyone like that in Torchwood.
No. And Owen's about the closest they get.
Is the closest we get to, here is a character for all of you straight white men.
Yeah.
And he's a doctor. First and foremost, he's a doctor.
Yeah.
Who shows that he is suffering through some kind of PTSD, maybe? He definitely...
There's a lot of emotional guarding that he has.
Definitely, and I definitely sense this unspoken part of his character that he really does care about treating people.
Yes,
which is funny listening to that podcast that you showed me about terrible doctors. But just seeing this guy who definitely is playing the part of someone who likes mending people.
Yeah,
he is complex though in the fact that he is not an adrenaline junkie, but he's
a little bit.
But he's the kind of character who is definitely flying by the seat of his pants.
Yeah,
he is.
He acts on instincts more than which is
which is a nice play on the fact that he's, because the doctor character is usually not the doctor, but the medical character is usually played as the straight man who's all about facts and cold reasoning. I'm thinking House.
Yeah. And Owen is more of a mix between like intuition and like a little bit of heart, but a little bit of science backed up. Like Gwen is all heart. But Owen is like intuition and like that gut feeling.
Yeah, and it's funny for me because my first experience with that actor was actually in Pacific Rim.
That's
he
true.
plays as the German character who's the closest we have gotten in a mecha movie about having a disabled character because he has a walking cane.
Yeah,
and
hell yeah.
And I actually really liked him.
Yeah, I really appreciate his actor. He was also in The Dark Knight Rises as a side character.
Oh, he was!
Who like dies in the middle. Spoilers.
He was.
He's been in a lot of stuff.
It's funny because he made a bit of an impression on me in Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Him and Charlie Day. And not entirely their fault, but it's just like, I remember watching that movie and I'm like, there's no reason these two characters have to be male. They could have been like a German scientist lady and an American, like a rocker, basically rock star scientist, and they would have still been super queer and friendly.
Yeah.
It was still super queer and friendly.
It's true.
But I'm like I keep imagining like a version of the character played by Owen who was kind of looking kind of like an older version of Homer, like long black hair with the walking stick. Because they never show disabled women in fiction.
No,
they never, like disabled men are fine because
they're like war vets.
Yeah, because they're right. And but like we never get to see any disabled women in fiction, and that's the one thing where I'm like, fucking give that to me or sit down,
sit yourself.
But if we're going through characters, I love Toshko, I love Yanto.
Gwen is a incredibly complex character, because I remember watching this with friends back when we were in like middle school, probably too young to be watching this kind of shit. Well, whatever, it's just sex, who cares?
Yeah.
But I do remember all of my friends, and I was part of this too, of like, hating on women kind of thing.
Yeah, it was that phase.
Internalized misogyny.
For those of you who don't remember the dark years, that was part of the culture of
hating the female character because she was getting in the way of the boys or whatever.
Yep.
But I remember everyone complaining a lot about Gwen, and I kind of appreciate her now that I'm older. And she is like 100% the heart of this. Like she is the emotional point that everyone in that group needs. Yeah, because otherwise it would be cold, calculated.
Yeah.
Like
without Gwen, this show would be, as you said, devoid of heart.
Yeah.
And Gwen especially serving as her point of view character.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, the normal world is grounded to Gwen because everyone else doesn't have a normal life anymore.
Exactly.
Owen is just sleeping around with whoever he can.
Mm-hmm. Including Gwen.
But Toshko is basically lost in her work. Mm-hmm. Yanto basically only...
Is grieving.
Is grieving. And Jack basically...
and Jack actually lives at Torchwood, so...
He lives at Torchwood.
Yeah.
So you have this team of people who don't have a normal life, and without Gwen, we would lose so much. Because thanks to Gwen, we have Reese.
I fucking love Reese.
Reese is
He grew on you, huh?
I'm not gonna lie to you, the first time I saw Reese, I'm like...
Who's this boring dude?
Who's this boring dude? But he's actually kind of lovable.
He kind of serves the Mickey role.
Yeah,
he's like this like big goof.
Yeah,
but he's like a relatable dude.
See, I see what you mean. I don't fully agree with it, but I see what you mean, because I never saw Mickey as the goof. They played him like a goof, but that character wasn't the goof.
Yeah.
He was actually a bit of a straight man.
Yeah.
But Reese is totally a goof. He's just a big, lovable guy. Like, I was telling you yesterday.
He's a big old bear.
I was telling you yesterday that if the BBC did a production of Final Fantasy IX, he would be Steiner.
Yeah, it's like 100%.
Because he's that kind of bumbling guy. And we just watched Meat?
Meat.
We just watched Meat yesterday, which is an episode all about Reese.
Yeah.
And you will know, from our time with this project, that an episode about someone who's not a member of the main cast is a hard sell on me. I fucking loved Meat.
Reese is now part of the main cast.
Reese is very good because, again, it's very easy to have a show, you can check all the boxes, right?
Yeah.
You can check the boxes, but it's when you play on these characters that you subvert expectations and you really make them complex and interesting.
Yeah.
Toshiko she is more than the stereotype of the Asian presenting intelligent person.
Yes, 100%.
There's so much more going on behind the scenes for her.
Yeah.
And even with Owen as well, because
yeah.
I'm telling you, the show could have just had any white man with a gun, and that would have been
grizzly white man with a gun.
Grizzly white like a Call of Duty man.
Yeah.
But there isn't anything like that. And it's funny because Jack ends up fulfilling the role of the person who pulls out a gun.
Yeah, to solve the problem.
Even though everyone pulls out guns.
Everyone has guns.
It's really interesting because that reminds me that, much like Doctor Who,
mm-hmm.
violence is seldom the answer to the problem in Torchwood.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
And again, take it from me, the person who always says, if the Doctor had a gun,
he would fix problems really easy. He would
fix problems very easily, but the solutions to a lot of the problems in these episodes isn't a gun.
Yeah.
And I really, really, really like that.
It's creative. It's clever.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about everyone but Jack. Jack, in season 1, he doesn't get a lot of, why he's here, who he is.
It's part of the mystery.
It's part of the mystery. Season
I'm okay with
2,
that.
we're getting to that.
No,
so
yeah.
I was wondering if that was one of your, gripes of season 1, is that we really don't know what the hell brought Jack here.
See, if I had been watching the show week to week, and you make a really good point, and thank you for keeping me honest.
Mm-hmm.
If we had been watching the show week to week, and we had finished season 1, and we were recording the podcast right now, my complaint would have been there isn't as much Jack as I would have liked.
Mm-hmm.
But because he shows up at the end of season 3,
yes.
and because there's Torchwood 2, and already by episode 3, we have gotten so much Jack, and James Masters showing up as a character who's going to be recurring,
yeah,
I'm hyped. And not only that, but also, again, Jack is just so good. There is the Captain Jack Harkness. Captain Jack Harkness is in episode 12 of this season, and that episode is a fucking banger.
That's a banger, all right.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. I'm sorry. That episode, save for the racism. Jesus Christ, why does there have to be racism when we go back into the past? Because you don't have to do that.
Because it's the World War II.
Save for the racism, that is probably the best episode. It's probably up there with the Satan Pit and the Impossible Planet.
Yeah.
Just because of the courage that it shows on the very final sequence.
Yes.
Fucking... And also the fact that it plays with, just...
all of your expectations.
There were things I assumed that I knew about Jack Harkness. And it plays with them, it toys with them, it twists them and turns them around. And I'm getting just the chills just thinking about it.
We'll get there.
That's a really good show. And I'm just telling you right now, we're doing the tier list tomorrow. It's gonna come out. I'm doing everything in my power
pretty up there.
It's phenomenal. I'm fuck. I don't know if I would put it in front of the Impossible Planet.
It's hard to put it in front of a two-parter, because the two-parter has a lot more build-up.
There's a lot more,
but we'll get there.
But it's funny because in my mind, the episode Captain Jack Harkness is very dense. It's a very dense episode.
It is.
And this also sets up the antagonist for the season and all that other stuff. But anyhow, throw me another question.
We've talked about all the main characters. I'm trying to even think. Suzie? We haven't talked about Suzie. Suzie.
I knew something was up
when you saw her and she was in the credits,
and she's not in the cover of the DVD, and I'm like, all right, so who?
She's dying.
I will admit, and someone out there probably hates me for this, but I am very much. I will not turn off my brain if I see that there's one character who doesn't show up on the box art. I call it metagaming, I guess, but for instance, even when I was 8 years old watching the X-Men cartoon on Fox Kids, and I saw Chameleon, and I'm like, he's not from the comics. He also looks mean. And in my brain, I'm like, I bet he doesn't stay. And guess what? He doesn't fucking stay.
Yeah, that's one of those things of being in the future, looking at the past, and you're like,
And even 8 years old, I was like, you're not one of the X-Men. and I was too young to say things like, I bet you die. But this is... Well, and that little kid grew up into me, and that's why I'm here today, looking at the box art for Torchwood and being like, Susie's not in it.
Susie's not here.
That means she dies.
She's fucking dead. Yeah, no, honestly, overall feelings on Torchwood?
You know that I really enjoyed it, and that I had a lot of fun, in spite of its shortcomings. We will talk about them. We will talk about...
Looking at you, episode 5.
fucking small worlds. I thought it was called fairies or some bullshit.
Yeah, I thought it was just called fairy.
There's episodes in this that
are stinkers.
That are stinkers. But the fact that we've been talking about the show for 20 plus minutes.
That's a good sign.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Let's
start with episode 1.
Let's start with episode 1.
Episode 1, Everything Changes, written by Russell T Davies, which originally aired October 22nd, 2006.
First episode. And we watched Kitty owns the Blu-ray version of
so it looked good.
It looked really good.
I own, like, the SD version of Doctor Who, so jumping from Torchwood to Doctor Who was like, yo, this looked good.
Yeah. You mean from Doctor Who to Torchwood?
Yes, thank you. And back, even.
The first episode does that 80s thing where there's just a lot of just wet...
everything is like...
straight walks.
Yeah.
The opening scene is all rainy.
Yeah.
So in case the episode summary...
So, we get introduced to our main protagonist, Gwen Cooper,
who's a member of
the Cardiff South Wales Police. That's right on the screen. If I read, I could do that. She discovers that Torchwood is like literally bringing this body back to life, and she's like, "What the fuck is going on?" She goes, discovers Torchwood, gets amnesia'd, and then still is able to come back. And we figure out that who has been murdering all these mysterious, victims that have nothing in common. Mm-hmm. It was Suzie.
The other member of Torchwood that we haven't talked about.
The one that Gwen will replace.
So during the climax of the episode, once
Gwen is like struggling to remember because she's been retconned.
Yeah.
And Suzie gets shot by Jack Harkness, but not before Suzie shoots Jack Harkness.
And Jack Harkness
comes back from death.
Dead.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have actually externalized this, but Captain
Jack
this
is the first time that we learn.
Yeah. So Jack is able to come back from the dead.
Or more accurately, he can't die. He just can't die.
And I like that. I mean, spoilers, but my shot was pretty much accurate. Rose, as Bad Wolf, basically rewrote the laws of reality to the point where Jack can no longer die.
She brought him back to life, but she accidentally brought him back to life forever, essentially. Yeah. And we'll talk about Jack's character arc in another podcast.
Yeah. She basically edited the code, so there's death equals false. Yeah. So there you go. Jack cannot die.
And now Gwen Cooper knows this, and now she is a part of Torchwood.
And that's the first episode.
As a murder mystery, it's kind of like, but like as an introduction to all of our characters.
It's really disappointing. It's really disappointing because we never again see Gwen with the ponytail.
I know, she barely gets the ponytail. The side pony's good.
No, for a large part of this first episode, whenever Gwen's wearing like the police cap, she has her hair in a ponytail.
Yeah.
And it looks adorable. It really frames her face very well, and they never do that ever again.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a
Tosh gets more ponytail action.
Oh my god, Tosh is so cute.
I know. We get to meet the entire cast of Torchwood, including Suzie, who will show up again. She's not just a one-off character, she's a two-off character.
And the one thing, and some may argue that this is like Max Poison.
The retcon?
No, not the retcon. I love that the amnesia pill is called retcon. I like that. But the fact, because they address it. Jack points out the fact that, like, Yanto, have you been ordering pizza under the name Torchwood? and later on we know that people know that Torchwood exists, so it's not like it's a secret.
It's pretty secret, but not, like, super secret.
Their car says Torchwood on the fucking thing. Yeah. So
bloody Torchwood.
Bloody Torchwood. I feel like our accents are getting better.
They're getting on.
Love. So, have any questions for me?
What were you gonna say? Your thing that you don't like?
Oh, it was that.
It was. I know you.
I was mostly joking. I like this episode. It's a really good start.
It's a really good intro episode.
I'm the kind of person, I don't hate it, but definitely this follows expectations of a setup episode where we spend the most of the first episode learning about what's going on.
What the fuck is going on?
I understand that not everybody just likes in media res, but I liked getting to know the extent of this ridiculous setting that we're experiencing, and definitely, getting inside of Torchwood and meeting the characters one by one.
Yeah, I do like that. We'll get to know more about Owen, Tosh, and Yanto, more. Because in this first episode, they don't get a whole lot because it's mostly about Gwen, Jack, and Suzie.
Yeah. It is actually, I do like that the Gauntlet comes back.
It does.
And I don't know if the Gauntlet comes back again.
Well, they shot it, so no.
No,
Oh, but there is another one.
Yeah. Yanto says that, like,
gloves
usually
come in pairs.
come in pairs.
I don't remember, to be honest.
He says that later on, by the way, in case anyone is, like, being a stickler for details.
I know.
It's funny, and maybe this is just the most nothing thing, but it's nice having Jack who speaks with an American accent.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that it's the equivalent of having someone speaking with a British accent in an American show.
Yeah.
It really makes you pay attention because of the contrast.
Yeah, you're like, oh, American.
And God, is that man beautiful.
He is beautiful.
God, is he fucking beautiful. And with those suspenders.
Oh, the suspenders.
And the jacket. The one thing, and I'll just say this right now, the one thing that I do not like about Jack's design is that he carries the tiniest fucking revolver. He's carrying like a baby bitch ass revolver.
Listen,
and I'm like, it's like a 22 caliber revolver, and I'm like, no, that's dumb.
I mean, he carries other guns, but that's his favorite.
That's dumb. That's dumb. I picture this man more with like an actual, like a big fat revolver, but maybe it's just playing on the expectations that this big man is carrying a little gun. Maybe, I don't know.
Little boys and their toys.
Not everything about him has to be large.
Wink. We don't know anything about that.
We can infer things. We can infer. I like this first episode, honestly. Yeah, it's definitely a good starting point. There's definitely, I'm sure, someday we will watch a Doctor Who first episode and we're gonna go, that was not as good as it could have been. This start is good. It's good. And someone's gonna be like, but this is not Doctor Who. It's the Doctor Who verse. Yeah. It exists around it. We cannot help but compare it against it. We can't separate it because it's literally made by the same show fucking runner.
Yeah, so.
Good start.
Good start, honestly. We get introduced to Weevils. As like a background villain almost.
And I will say this. I respect Russell T. Davis's writing room because a lot of things come back. Suzie comes back, the glove comes back, the Weevils come back.
Weevils will be around for a while.
Although I might argue that there's very little aliens in Torchwood Season 1, there is that they do play with what they got. There's probably, I mean, it feels weird because I have trouble believing that Doctor Who has a lesser budget than Torchwood, because Torchwood has sets. They probably got all of their sky shots of Cardiff from like a stock footage thing.
Oh, definitely.
But like, there's money in this show.
Oh yeah. And
how come Doctor Who doesn't get like a quarter of this money?
They get more CG money as it goes on. Doctor Who, I mean, not Torchwood.
And also, I gotta say, the Weebles,
the practical effects.
The practical effects on the Weebles is fantastic.
Yeah, it looks really good.
They really, there's a lot of money in that.
I don't know if it's just because we have the Blu-ray version, but
maybe the Blu-ray looks good.
It looked good. We won't be in Blu-rays until we get to season 5 of Doctor Who. So yeah, I gotta get excited about that. No David Tennant in HD. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's funny going back to like Doctor Who and like season 1 is in 4:3 resolution. I know, that's so charming.
It is charming. But yeah, first episode.
It's pretty good.
Episode 2, Day 1, written by Chris Chibnall, that aired on October 22nd, 2006, the same day as the first episode. They did a double feature.
Oh, that's exciting. I didn't know that.
That's dope, actually.
And it's funny because it actually retained about the same amount of viewers. The Wikipedia page shows all this stuff. Fun fact, I don't know if we already talked about this, but Chris Chibnall.
He is the showrunner for Doctor 13.
Yeah, so I'm actually, it's funny because we once I noticed that, like a couple of recordings ago, I've been kind of paying attention to, and Day 1
is pretty good.
I think that Day 1 for me is actually the first actual episode of Torchwood.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because this episode.
Everything Changes is the intro episode, and Day 1 is like, okay, this is what Torchwood is going to be from now on. Yeah,
and it comes out throwing punches.
Yes.
It comes out saying Torchwood is not Doctor Who. Torchwood is about crime procedural. It's about aliens, it's about sex.
Yep, we got a lot of sex.
It's about sexuality. It's about these characters trying to make sense of the weirdness of the world around them now. I just had a war flashback about the one thing. Okay, I should have mentioned this earlier.
Should I go for it?
Before we do the summary.
Okay.
Because I just want to get this thought before I forget about it.
Yeah.
The one thing, I like that Torchwood exists in the world of Doctor Who. The only problem that I have, and I understand this because Doctor Who, every episode is its own little bubble, and
essentially, yes.
And it's hard to carry repercussions.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a little bit... I stress my brain trying to wrap my head around the idea that, like, no one knows aliens? What about the time that a alien spaceship flew into the Big Ben? See, what about the time that there were ghosts going around? What about the time that the American president got killed on TV?
Got assassinated live.
Got assassinated. See, what about Saxon?
See, the only time that I forgive that is when Donna's like, I was on vacation.
What about the Cybermen?
Oh, I was on holiday. Scuba diving.
Where?
In Spain.
There were Cybermen in Spain.
I was scuba diving.
God, see, I like that.
Yeah, see, that's fine, but they don't address it with Reese in season 2.
Yeah, like, I mean, before that. Like, people are like, aliens exist, and I'm like...
Y'all bitches forgot?
Bitch, fucking...
Well, I thought that they did address it with Gwen, and she was like, oh, it's all conspiracy theories, or maybe that was another Doctor Who episode.
I understand that can be a way to hand-wave it. It's not a very effective way.
No.
Especially how it keeps happening in Doctor Who. Aliens keep showing up, and again, every episode it's its own little Gallifrey bubble. But and they're all like, oh, but you see, like this time aliens show up, and the whole world is shocked. Right. And I'm like,
they're like, yo, what
dude,
the fuck?
In the last 2 years, it's been like, listen, if COVID-19 happened 3 times within 2 years, everyone would know about it.
Yeah. It's happening once and everyone knows about it.
Yeah, it's happening once and everyone knows about it. Even I, who doesn't do anything on Twitter anymore, probably would have heard about it. But anyhow, episode
we actually
2...
heard about the aliens. Anyway.
Oh yeah, welcome to the strange future that we live in.
2020, Pentagon releasing possible...
unidentified flying objects. Doesn't have to be aliens, probably it is aliens. Anyhow.
Anyway, day 1.
Yeah.
This one's about a sex alien that... excuse me. A meteorite comes crashing down to Earth. Gwen accidentally releases it from its little rock spaceship.
Yeah, rock spaceship.
And then it goes into a girl, and it's it literally lives off of the energy of climax. Men or male presenting or penis having people ejaculating.
Yep. And they refer to it as the greatest high that you could get.
Yeah.
So it's just the idea that aliens are getting off on people having sex.
Well, alien is literally living.
Yeah, inside of a human body. And I feel like, again, this episode is a great throwing punches introduction of what Torchwood is about, because Torchwood is very much about sexuality.
Yes.
And having literally the first real episode,
alien be about banging.
Be about banging.
And it's not at all shying away from it, because we get the scene with Gwen accidentally releasing the alien, and then the next scene is the alien taking over the lady and then immediately having sex with someone, and they show a lot.
It's actually
for it being aired on a public television network.
And it's funny because I feel like that's the most sexual that it ever gets for the rest of the next 2 seasons.
Pretty much. Oh yeah.
I feel like we haven't gotten man masturbating to video of people having sex.
Yeah.
And I feel like some people may say that maybe that's a fault in the tone, but I feel like this is the tone setter.
Yeah,
I feel like this is the watermark. Anything that comes even close to this is anything that passes this is too far.
Right. Yeah. This is a lot.
Yeah.
I remember us watching it, and I was like.
Oh, and also I forgot to mention this on the previous episode, but the previous episode had Owen.
Mm-hmm.
Basically coming out as not coming out, but it's just
I'll fuck you both.
Yeah, he had a pheromone cologne that he was putting on to go on dates, and a lady goes mad after him, and then the girl's boyfriend is like, I'm gonna kick your ass, mate, and then he just sprays him too, and then
they start kissing.
It's like, I gotta have him too,
and
not before me.
And then they have an orgy, which is off screen.
Yeah, Owen's like, all right, you gotta do what you gotta do, huh?
Yeah,
the screen gives it a little wink.
Like I said, everyone's at least bi. In this episode, we learn that Gwen is at least bi when she makes out with the alien lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing, and I do understand that it's kind of established that it has to be a penis.
Yeah, it's literally the climaxing of the penis.
Of the penis inside of the JJ.
Yeah.
That does it. I'm okay with that.
Yes.
I'm okay with that. It's a bit cowardly. I would have just rather it be just sex in general.
Yeah.
But whatever.
It's 2006. We're quite a ways in the past in terms of sexual research and understanding.
See, so again, we're in the future. We can't turn off
the fact that we're in the future.
We can't turn off our queerness. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
We can't turn off the fact that we're in the future. We can't turn off the fact that we as queer people want to see queer characters in media and address queer topics. But considering how this is 2006, the fact that Gwen kisses the
fucking
other lady,
makes out with that lady,
her, and no one goes out of their way to go, "Oh, that's gross! I can't believe you did that."
I mean, in comments like, "Ooh, that's hot."
Yeah, but
that's about like the worst we get.
Yeah, but and even that itself is not exactly like reprimanding it. Is not saying, "Oh my god, you're gonna go to hell for this now."
No,
and that's good.
It's only the stereotype of like lesbians kissing because two hot girls.
Yeah, exactly.
When 2006 again.
And maybe I'll catch flack for this, but 2006, I'm willing to take that.
Yeah,
I'm willing to take that in 2006.
We get more later, so
it's
even if this little bit.
The Torchwood episode is fucking great.
Yeah, it's so
Jesus Christ, we'll get there. But day one,
sex alien,
very effective. And again, it's the kind of thing where this is not a problem you solve with a gun.
No.
And
although they did end up killing her, but
but it wasn't.
She did murder a bunch of men.
Yeah, turning them into dust.
My favorite thing is that she goes to the sperm bank.
Real talk though.
That's smart. That sex alien be smart.
That sex alien knew what they were doing,
and I love that the sex alien the girl who she's taken over, or the alien is taken over. Aliens have no gender, it doesn't matter.
That's true.
But the girl that the sex alien took over, she was aware enough to be like, okay, I kill people, I have sex with people and they die. I'm gonna go to my shitty ex and have sex with him and then he'll die.
Yes.
Which I kind of
mood.
Same.
But definitely, I like the fact that the show gave her agency. She wasn't just basically now a sex doll for this sex alien.
Yeah.
She was actually showing a level of autonomy that is...
And she was regretful of her choices, too, what happened.
And also, again, can you believe that the show focuses on the ladies?
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe that this show focused on not only, it gave this character, a relative, someone that would actually care about her, being in danger or being hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, we focus quite a bit on this unfortunate girl.
Yeah.
And it's, I know someone out there, please get ready to check your Dango Duo bingo table.
Mm-hmm.
If Ryan Murphy had written this, it wouldn't have been this way at all.
No.
It would have been horrible. It would have been horrifying. And it would have had a lot more of the predatory gay trope in there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
Yeah, no. This episode is very good.
It's a very solid episode.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's the kind of episode that we're probably going to put up in, not fantastic, but definitely good in the
at least
tier
good,
list.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and the fact that it sets a standard for, this
really
is what
does.
you're here to expect.
And again, we're going to talk about this when we get there, but there isn't a lot of aliens in this, in Torchwood.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot of, here's the alien of the week, and maybe that's a strength of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that, again, day one, it's about sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
It's about Gwen as a central character.
Yes.
The team reacting to the weirdness of the reality that they live in, and an alien.
Yep.
Box.
Checked.
Yeah, and I hate to say it like this, but if this episode came at the end of the season,
mm-hmm.
it would probably have blown our minds.
Yeah.
But coming first, as you said, it sets the expectations.
Yeah.
And I think that's what an episode 2 or episode 1 really following a prologue, that I feel like that's what it really ought to do. It ought to set the standards for what you should be expecting.
Definitely.
And as someone, I'm writing a book right now. I mean, when am I not writing a book?
Yeah.
But I'm writing a book right now, and it's just thinking a lot about, what do I want to say in the first chapter? What should I introduce people to?
Yeah, exactly.
And this show's about sexuality.
Yeah.
It's about sexuality, and it's about aliens, and we get everything in this episode.
Yeah. It's mostly about aliens, and the next episode only involves an alien device, but,
Yeah.
I like that the show is not always battle alien. It's alright, we have this weird alien thing.
I do admit that if this show had a different alien baddie every episode, it would definitely feel like Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And that's not the show at all.
It's more story.
I guess I just wish there had been 20% more aliens than there are.
That's fair.
But at least,
What, you're saying you don't like the fairies?
Fuck. Episode 5. And we're going to talk about it today, so...
We probably will.
Let's move on to the next episode.
Episode 3 time.
This following segment of the episode contains conversations about sexual assault.
Please use discretion. Episode 3, Ghost Machine, written by Helen Rayner, which originally aired October 29th, 2006.
This, I will admit that, reading over the episodes, I slightly forgot what Ghost Machine was about.
It's between two...
It's between two very important episodes,
yeah.
So just by
definition.
Just by sheer adjacency.
Placement.
It's definitely, it's easier to forget about this really good episode.
It's a very good episode. And this episode, I feel like, is a really good introduction to Owen's complex character, because you get to see, like, a lot of what makes him tick and what gets him emotional as well.
It's
because,
true.
Before he's just like, flirting, I'm sex guy, sex doctor, and then you get to see how emotional he gets.
And I do want to say that this is a straight up episode made for Dango Duo. Yeah. Because it's basically a true crime episode.
Yeah, exactly.
And what should science fiction do? It should explore, elements of morality. It should explore things that we can't do in our everyday life. Mm-hmm. And the idea that this episode creates a scenario where you can actually capture or, catch a killer who had gotten away
with it for so long.
Yeah. I feel like that's
using alien technology. Ties it in.
I don't know if calling it a fantasy is insensitive. Yeah. But I can definitely, especially listening to things like The Man in the Window, which is about the Golden State Rapist, I feel like I can imagine people feeling the emotion of like, man, if only there was a way to catch this guy.
Yeah, if only I could see what had actually happened. If I was there.
If only I could have been there and seen it. I could have.
And I could be a witness in some way.
And I could be a witness in some way. I can definitely see. I guess defining it as a fantasy. Maybe I hope it's not insensitive.
No, it's something that usually doesn't get to happen in real life, in real crimes.
And that's why you should tackle it with science fiction.
Yeah, because it's something that you can.
Again, the Ghost Machine is an episode about a interesting alien device that allows you to glimpse moments in the past,
moments of emotional
energy.
Essentially, it feeds off the emotional energy and basically shows you scenes of what happened in that place. Gwen gets one about
with a young boy
during World War II.
Yeah.
Who comes to London during the Blitz, and his family isn't there to meet him. He has this very emotional moment. And then Owen sees a young woman getting assaulted and killed.
Yeah.
And it very much affects him. Gwen, gets to have the happy where she goes to meet the guy, the old man.
The older version of that young boy.
Yeah, and confirms that, yes, that did actually happen.
And Owen
gets to confront the killer that got away with that crime for so many years.
This episode...
And we deal with the kid who literally just found the alien device. The other half of it, one shows the past, one shows the future.
This episode is very tight.
Yes.
It's very, again, it feels very dense. Like, I almost forgot that we have a whole half of the episode about Gwen and this young, this older man.
Old man who came to Cardiff during World War II.
And again, maybe, I'm just questioning myself too much, but I like that this episode, we're talking about sexual assault here and murder. Mm-hmm. The show doesn't glorify it or it's not gratuitous.
No, it does not show it.
It doesn't show it at all.
You kind of hear her screaming, but not but you don't like, oh God, fuck. Sorry, you just reminded me that I started listening to a podcast that actually like had it was also like acted. Yeah, and it actually had like the sound of a girl like not getting sexually assaulted because it was all acting, but like it had that like sound. And I was like, all right, yeet this podcast into existence.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was the worst.
That's horrible.
I know.
Did you leave a 1-star review?
No.
Okay,
I just yeeted
probably
it.
should have.
I forgot which one it was anyway, so.
God. Sorry.
I know, right?
I feel sick in my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the host for that show? Was that the one with the guy as a host?
It might have been. I don't remember. Because
I feel like it's just that kind of thing where I'm like,
I don't super remember, but
like, what has to happen for you to think
that's okay?
For you to think we're gonna do a dramatic recreation of a sexual assault?
Mm-hmm. And it was only like a tiny snippet, but that was enough for me to yeet out of existence.
What the fuck?
Anyway, that doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen in this episode.
Yeah, and in fact, like we actually kind of get justice for that dude. He and we actually kind of you get to feel sympathy for that dude who has been struggling ever since.
Yeah,
like they don't make it out to be like, oh, this poor guy. They so don't. Sad.
The camera definitely frames him like he's a monster.
Yes, but a monster who has struggled.
Yeah, who has struggled.
He's still a person.
And I understand that, and it's interesting seeing him now as an older guy. Mm-hmm. To me, like again, maybe it's because I just finished listening to The Man in the Window,
Mm-hmm.
which is all about the Golden State Rapist,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely like there's the parallels there of like people who were victims seeing
Mm-hmm.
this old ass man,
Yeah,
and like there he is, the man
the man who ruined my life.
Who ruined my life. And it's I guess. Fuck, I feel like I'm at the verge of just going on a huge rant, but it's funny, when I'll just say it. There's people who look at Ted Bundy and go, "Man, he was kind of hot," and you don't get like because that story kind of ends there.
Mm-hmm.
People just look at that frozen image of Ted Bundy and they'll go like, "Man, he was kind of good looking," and I'm just it's a reminder that time treats all of us equally, and seeing the guy who killed that girl become this old ass man.
Yeah,
I feel like that was kind of satisfying in its own way.
In a way,
that this killer didn't get to stay frozen in time as this particular image of him when he committed this crime.
That's super fair.
Sorry for the rant. It's just fucking some people on the internet, and I'm just like, this is you're gonna tweet this out, huh?
Yeah.
You're gonna tweet this out.
You're gonna be a Ted Bundy stan.
You're gonna be a Ted Bundy stan on my dash, aren't you? Right click,
get
yeeted. Anyhow.
Ghost Machine.
It doesn't take a lot to get yeeted.
No.
But, no. You know what? It takes a lot to get yeeted. Being a Ted Bundy stan, that's one of them.
Yeah, that's one of them. I do like the twist that
being a K-pop stan. Okay.
let's not finish that sentence.
That's a joke.
That's
a joke.
But I do like the twist in this episode is like, for a good like half to 2/3 of the episode, we're focused on the past machine without realizing there's a second half that completes it. Machine. And this kid who basically just found the machine in some old guy's like storage lot or old house or something.
I think he broke into a house to steal from it and
found some weird alien shit.
And the device showed him how he would die.
Yeah, so he got all freaked out and stuff. And then it also shows Gwen, holding a bloody knife, and that kind of prophecy ends up being true, but not in the way that she thinks. I really like that twist towards the end of the episode. And we kind of get justice for the young girl who was killed, in the fact that her killer, sees an end, essentially.
So,
the ending is controversial in a way.
Not
controversial,
so much,
but like divisive.
I can definitely see the divisiveness.
Yes.
To reiterate, I think this episode is very tight.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it fills me with, well, it doesn't fill me, but it gives me wonder.
Yeah.
Because it serves that science fiction purpose of like, oh, what if there was a machine to look at the past?
Yeah, we could figure out who exactly
could figure out, who
did these crimes.
Who could figure out who fucking, the Black Dahlia, who could just figure that out.
Yeah.
And especially us, Kitty and I, we're just nerds for true crime and unsolved mysteries.
Listen, I've been binging so many true crime podcasts during self-isolation.
Yeah. So it's the thing where, like, for me specifically, like, you're like zooming in on us with your fucking sniper scope, and we're like, this is us.
This is us.
Now, how do you feel about the fact that we end up, in one way or another, talking about the killer's mental health?
I
don't feel like the show went out of its way to say like
he is mentally ill. That's why he did this.
It doesn't, but it also doesn't
not say that.
And I feel like there was a clear opening to say that, like, he ended up developing this mental illness as part of the things that he did. So it wasn't the reason for it.
No, that's what I always thought. But
they don't say it.
They imply it, but they don't outright say it. They imply that, he's been tortured ever since then, essentially, of what he did.
Yeah. And I do appreciate that the camera never treats him like we're supposed to feel sympathy.
Yeah.
To me, he feels human. It doesn't feel...
Yeah, it's never explicitly sympathetic or explicitly he is a goddamn monster. It's a very human blend of them both.
And I do think that especially the casting.
Yes.
Because the guy that they chose for the old version of the killer, definitely, like, he looks... I'm trying to see how I want to state this.
Fair.
He looks like someone's, like a friend's dad.
Yeah.
No, not
like
specific. I'm not talking about a specific person, but I can see him as a friend's dad.
I can see him as like an uncle.
Who once, when he lost his temper, like, showed how angry he can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's got problems.
Yeah.
So, like, I could see, like, the two-sided coin of, like, this could be just an everyday guy that you see across the street on your morning walk. But you can also see this guy as the kind of person who completely loses it. Yeah. And I feel like that level of complexity is definitely was a strength.
Yeah.
I feel like this episode wouldn't have been as strong if he had just been
purely evil.
A psychopath. If he had just been a complete psychopath.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that he is a complex human is what makes this episode more interesting.
And definitely, I felt in the end. By the way, in the end, he dies as part of in self-defense, kind of like Wen kills him, basically.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think he almost kind of kills himself.
I wanted to say that it felt to me that he was in an act of self-destruction, basically.
Essentially, he went there to kind of in some way atone for his crimes, and in some way, end his own suffering by going into a knife, essentially.
Basically, he walked into my knife 10 times.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a complex episode, and it's funny because it's sandwiched in between Day 1 and Cyberwoman, and these are heavy episodes. And it's funny because then we have Small Worlds, and then fucking
Countrycide, yo.
I want to talk about Countrycide.
I know, we'll probably get there.
But it's funny that the Ghost Machine is sandwiched between 2 really heavy episodes, and like I will.
Yo, there's some downers this season.
I forgot about the Ghost Machine, but talking about it, I'm like, this is a dense episode, and I feel that just the fact that
we can have these big discussions.
This episode is in a way an emotional minefield, and I feel conflicted navigating it because this talks about sexual assault,
mental illness,
murder, and
the fear of seeing your own futures, watching you die.
And even without the science fiction stuff, there's a lot of heavy things in here.
Yeah,
and I admit that it's I feel like we could just do like a whole video essay just talking about this episode and our particular feelings about it, but we don't have the time for that.
We ain't got the time nor the energy. We got to move on to Cyberwoman. Which...
And I do want to make this clear,
yes,
because when we're recording something and we're lost in the midst of having a conversation, if we said anything that sounded wrong, please let us know and we'll clarify in the comments.
Yeah.
Because I do the one thing, and we've talked about this in our off time, is that one of the faults of true crime can be that when people glorify it, or when people
they glance over a certain detail,
or they enjoy the spectacle of it, as opposed to understanding the humanity and the perils of this.
Yeah. And it's one of those things.
You've talked a lot of times about Kitty's has been basically scouring the internet,
the Apple podcast
for true crime, and
I've seen a lot of bad shit.
And there's a lot of bad shit of shows that are basically people going like, "Oh my god, I love that murder! Oh, that was so cool!" And I'm like, how can you talk about it this way? How can you talk about it without actually having like a level of like self-awareness?
I've also been I've been listening to a lot of cases that involve sexual assault, so I have a lot more levity than like a lot of just serial. Ha! Look at this funny serial killer.
Oh my god, Ted Bundy, guys, he was kind of hot.
He was kind of hot.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I just finished.
Get muted for the rest of existence.
Listen, I just finished a podcast about Jeffrey Epstein, so.
Oh my god, that's a downer.
That's a fucking downer.
That's a downer. Anyhow,
so if there's things that we say that are probably insensitive, know that
Should we have a trigger warning at the start of this particular segment?
We could, yeah.
And now we're back from the future.
Anyway.
Anyhow, Timey is a ball of wimey tabbly.
Wibbly wobbly tiny.
It goes
blip
blip when stuff happens.
Yeah. So if we say anything that sounds insensitive, know that we do think about these issues, and that sometimes it is hard to portray on camera the kind of like sensitivity that you need. Yeah. But again, you know us, we're queer as fuck. We think about these kind of things.
And I feel like just the fact that we're talking about the possibility that maybe we actually overlooked something and we're being too self-aware.
It's possible.
But definitely, I'm open to have a deeper conversation about this in the comments.
Hell yeah. Episode 4, Cyberwoman, written by Chris Fuck. What's his name?
Chris Fuck. Who would become the showrunner.
The fuck showrunner.
He wrote 4 episodes for this season. Because he wrote Day 1, Cyberwoman, Countrycide, and End of Days.
I guess we'll keep continuing. Anyway, it originally aired November 5th, 2006. I was going to do another take, but apparently...
No, we're in there now. So what happens in Cyberwoman?
We get to learn a little bit about Yanto this episode, what he kind of is doing in Torchwood. So... Yanto, our little coffee boy in the background, he brings everybody food. He's a very background presence up until this point. Yes. We find out that he has been hiding his girlfriend. Memory is a funny thing. I thought it was his wife, apparently, but no, his girlfriend. Because she was in the middle. She worked for Torchwood London, and she was in the middle of a cyber transformation. And he basically saved her life, brought her down to the basement of Torchwood, Wales, and is basically keeping her alive, hoping that a doctor can find a cure for her Cyberwomaning.
Yeah, and we're not talking about we're not talking about the Doctor, just a Doctor.
A Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
The episode opens up with this
Japanese scientist
basically coming in to help figure out the thing,
examine her.
Yeah.
He dies horrifically.
There's a lot of like.
There's a lot of body horror in this episode.
There's a lot of body horror in this episode.
Yeah, no, I don't have any images. I didn't grab any images of that because fuck that.
But... No, none needed.
None needed. Eventually her cyber brain starts kicking in. She's losing herself to the Cybermen mentality and she has to die because she's killing people.
Yeah.
And trying to turn them into Cybermen.
And this episode leads, of course, it's about Yanto and the rest of the team learning the fact that there's a fucking cyber person inside of Torchwood.
Yanto's been hiding a half-complete cyber person inside of Torchwood.
So, I really like this episode.
Yeah.
The issue that I have has nothing to do with this episode.
I have one issue with this episode. But...
I mean, we'll get into the complaints, but let's just say it's a really strong and emotionally charged episode.
Yeah, Yanto cries a lot. It's great.
Yeah.
Also, we get our first Yanto eject kiss.
Yeah,
it's mostly CPR, but you know.
Yeah, you know.
Hey.
And also, the actor who plays Yanto is very good at giving a cry. He's really good. He gets like
he gets all pouty and baby faced.
I don't want to call it the gross cry, but
it's not a like beautiful like single tear down the face.
It's definitely a human cry.
Yeah,
because I feel like that's what I look like when I cry.
Right, it's all like you don't cry all the time. I cry all the time.
I cry all the time on the inside. No, that's not true. That's not true. I have no emotions. So what I was gonna say is that I like this episode. I do. Because I feel like this episode is part of the problem of what that I have with the continuity of Doctor Who and Torchwood existing in the same place.
Okay.
Because this is the episode we talk about Canary Row. No, fucking
the Battle of Canary Wharf.
Yeah, Canary Row.
Same difference.
Canary Wharf. Like this
we
means
actually get little
that
shots of
existed.
It too.
This existed in the same timeline, and we existed in the same world. But then we still have people being like, "What about like? Oh man, the thing with the Cybermen was just a hoax." In spite of the fact that we existed with ghosts for like
3
6 months.
Yeah.
Like this again. To me, this is the bridge. Like imagine in the
continuity editor needed a little bit more time on the script.
Honestly, my issue with this is that like, and no one will get this, but like, Torchwood as it stands here exists in the same way that like comic books exist alongside each other. It's like oh yeah, multiple... Spider-Man is doing this thing over there, in these 3 blocks of Brooklyn, and then there's the Avengers over here, and like they exist together, and sometimes there's something in the background, but there's no interaction, and it feels flimsy, and it feels as though
you just don't want to have that character.
It feels like
you can't sometimes.
It feels like the depth of a puddle, and I feel like we end up going there. Like even though there's a Cyberwoman here, and this implies that yes, the Battle of Canary Wharf did indeed happen. We still have reasons season 2 being like aliens exist.
There's no such thing as aliens, Gwen.
And I'm like, come on! Like it's a thing where I'm like, I just wish someone was like, oh yeah, like I remember watching that on TV.
Yeah, exactly, something. Anyway, I think that's mostly a fault with the continuity. The continuity, especially with Reese.
And by the way, I understand that I understand the perils of like, if we have everyone know that aliens exist,
they're
shock
not going to
of
be
aliens,
shocked by aliens existing.
And I understand that.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance.
But that's the challenge that you have to take upon when you're writing a setting in Doctor Who where aliens have existed, literally shown up multiple times.
In London, yeah.
In London.
And then all over the world. But yeah, sorry. So this episode, my main gripe with it is literally towards the end, because memory makes fools of us all. I completely remember the ending differently. But in this episode, Lisa, her name's Lisa.
Lisa,
yeah. Yes. Her name's Lisa. Lisa, is trying to fight that cyber, instinct of what's the word that I'm looking for? Turning everyone into cyber people. She's trying to fight that instinct and remain human, but in the end, kind of loses her humanity to the cyber. But then you see her, trying to grapple with that, which I really like. It makes this character, a Cyberman is, one note. He wants to...
It's a machine.
Assimilate. It wants to assimilate everything. Yeah. But Lisa is complex because, she's fighting with that instinct, and even when she starts to show these bits of humanity, you don't know if that's her just trying to get everyone to her side, or if that's her breaking through and being like, Yento, I'm really here, I'm here. The one thing, I completely forgot the ending of this episode, literally kills a pizza girl, transplants her brain into that,
Yeah.
and when Yento goes down to kill her, you know, you see him, like, struggle with it, he's crying, he's upset, you know, then she says something like, you know, this worked so we can kind of be together as you know, cyber, and then we'll eventually become cyber people. And you see him, you know, he's like, she's gone, I have to do this. And then everyone in the background, you know, we got fucking Jack, Gwen, Owen, and Toshiko all shoot Lisa, and Yento doesn't get a single shot. He doesn't get to kill her, which I feel like is a completely missed opportunity for his own agency. It feels like this whole episode feels like they take away Yanto's agency, and I really don't like that.
It feels to me that, like, maybe they looked at the episode and then they realized, or, you know, Chris, what's his name?
Chibnall.
Realizes that, like, the rest of the team doesn't do anything in the ending, so maybe having them shoot Lisa makes them have agency, but
more active,
in turn, remove Yanto's agency.
Yeah, which I don't like.
Now, I read that episode entirely different.
That's
I actually read, I mean, the conversation about, like, the thing with Lisa. Watching it from, you know, not knowing what was going to happen, I kept watching that feeling as though it wasn't so much that, like, there was humanity there. Like, I legitimately feel that, like, the episode was this, like, slight mystery of, like, is she human? Is she Cyberman? Is she human? Is she a Cyberman? And up until the very last word that she spoke, I was going back and forth the whole time. I'm like, is she actually? No, she can't know.
Oh, maybe. You know, she still shows care for Yanto even while she's, like, ready to kill everybody.
Yeah, and I feel like the way that I ended up reading it at the end was that, like, she had in fact been mostly cybermanized. Yeah. Cyber peopleized. But there was, like, that shadow of her, and that dictated how she behaved. So I feel like it was this mix of, like, Lisa wants to take care of Yanto and to keep him safe, so she will turn him into Cyberman in order to achieve that purpose.
It kind of, like, corrupted her humanity of how she views, like, you know, Yanto and herself.
See, like, I'm in agreement, but I see it as though her humanity tarnished her Cyberman mentality.
See, I think of it the other way.
Yeah, I see it the other way.
Yeah,
and I feel like the fact that we can have that conversation shows the
strength of this episode.
The strength of that. I will absolutely. I remember we finished watching that episode, and the both of us, like, looked at each other and said, "Let's go to court." Yeah. No, we said, like, that took Yanto's agency away.
Yeah, that was a missed opportunity.
I feel that
and for the rest of the season, he doesn't get a lot of agency.
I absolutely agree.
Fucking episode 7, when we get to hear his thoughts, he's, like, fucking depressed as shit.
I legitimately feel that, like Yanto came out of that episode with less than what he had at the start.
Yeah, because they don't trust him
and I know that someone can read that as, like, well, that means that there's chance for character development, but I feel like there was so much missed opportunity.
I do. And we like this episode, in general.
See, we can like something and disagree with parts of it, and I feel like that's the thing that anime trash teens don't understand. Anime stans don't understand. We can like something and still have complaints about it.
Yes.
I can like My Hero and still complain about the fact that it sucks at having antagonists.
Shigaraki sucks.
Shigaraki fucking sucks as an antagonist. And fucking Grapeballs Boy is actually the foil of the show, and if he wasn't there, the show would be 10 out of 10. Also, Momo's design fucking sucks. Yeah. I was gonna escalate.
It's okay. Bring it back down.
I can't believe that the Japanese play Mineta. The Japanese play fixes Momo's design effortlessly.
Yeah.
So that's why, you know, remember that fiction is written by humans, and humans can make mistakes, as we will see on the next episode. Humans can make terrible, horrifying mistakes
that should just be yeeted into the sun.
But as writers and as people who consume and analyze media, we're here to talk about it. And Cyberwoman is a strong episode that finishes probably in the worst way possible.
Yeah, I 100% remembered Yanto shooting her.
Because that's what would have been satisfying.
That's what should have happened, honestly. I feel like Yanto needed that closure in a way, and the way that they left it gave him no closure.
Yeah.
Lisa was taken from him again.
And it's funny because the rest of the season treats it as though this plot is kind of, like, completed. Because I feel like there was no reason to not have him shoot her.
Yeah, no.
And I feel like, again, like, it almost feels as though they shot two endings and then they just flipped a coin and went with the other one.
It's kind of like the Christmas Invasion episode where, like, up until the end, we're all with it, and then the end.
You know what? It's just like the Christmas Invasion. Mm-hmm. It's just this, because why would you ruin
what was otherwise a very strong story?
A really strong, Why would you ruin that? And just to say, we could have had this episode end with everybody still shooting the Cyberwoman after Yanto took the first shot.
Yeah.
And I feel
and
like
then everyone comes in and helps save the day.
I feel like that would have been way stronger, because it would have unified the team.
Yeah.
It would have
Team unity.
It would have unified the team. Mm-hmm. And after everyone waited for Yanto to take the shot.
Yeah, exactly.
To be like, we're here to support you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like...
And instead they took away that agency from him.
And it's so bad that in my head I'm retconning it. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm just retconning it in my head. Yanto took the first shot and then everyone followed.
Yeah. And he can still, be upset and crying over Pizza Girl's dead body with Lisa's brain in it.
Can we talk about how fucked up that is?
Yeah, literally the fucking scar across the front of her head. Some body horror shit going on here.
Yeah, no, and I love that up until the very last thing she said, I was like, oh my god, is she... I think she's actually human.
Yeah.
I think, oh my god, like, and I feel like this going back and forth is what had me be more emotionally invested, because with the judgment call in my head, I kept justifying the things that were happening. I'm like, fucking shoot her because she's a fucking Cyberman.
Mm-hmm.
And
then she would show some sign of
humanity, and I'd be like, fuck, don't take the shot. Right? What if she's still there?
Yeah. And I agree that sometimes this episode is like, come on, just take the shot, and then sometimes,
Okay.
It feels longer than it is.
I don't know, and tell me if you want me to cut this. I just want to come out and say this now.
Go for it.
Because my heart aches for the episode of season 2, the second one. And you will understand why. But Lisa is black. Mm-hmm. Lisa is black, and I feel that in this particular case, the casting of a person of color as the central person suffering in this scene, I felt like that, to me, it made me empathize more.
That's fair.
For Lisa.
Yeah, and Yanto.
In season 2, there's an episode where the main target of suffering happens to be black, and the whole time I was watching the episode, I was uncomfortable, because if it had been a white woman being tortured, I legit don't think that everyone would have looked like monsters, but because it's a person of color, we're supposed to be kind of not sympathize.
I will debate that, but
I feel like we will argue when we get to that episode.
Yeah.
But to me, it felt like the camera wasn't treating that actor right.
We can argue about that. We'll argue about that in a while.
Should we cut this?
No, I think it's fine. I think it's fine to have this discussion, and I do feel like having a black character like Lisa. Being the villain, it creates some sort of uncomfortable ground that we're
it definitely
that we're standing on.
It like, there's a lot, and there's still a lot, and I can feel like you can just go on about this forever, but we cannot put off the next episode for much longer.
It's everybody's favorite.
Is there anything else you want to say about Cyberwoman?
I like it. And
I like Lisa.
I like Lisa.
And I feel like the fact that I was emotionally invested and I was going back and forth on whether I believed her or I didn't believe her.
That's good writing.
Yeah, and it makes this episode feel
dense. That's good eats right there.
And I fuck you. And I know we're such I married a memer and I didn't realize it. And I
that's
know
your fault.
And I know that the word of the day is dense. Mm-hmm. But it, like, again, episode 1 dense, episode 3. Episode 2, I guess. Yeah. Day 1 is dense, the Ghost Machine is dense, and Cyberwoman is dense.
Yeah. I would say it's the least dense of the ones that we've watched, because there's like, we have to run away from her, let's do a plan. Oh, we gotta run away from her, let's do a plan. I feel like it's got a little bit of that.
But it's funny, because in my head I feel that they could have had a whole 2-hour movie about this.
Oh, yeah.
This could have been the plot of a science fiction movie.
Oh, 100%.
But now we gotta talk about let's walk away from science fiction and from well-written episodes and talk good episodes. About the next one.
Let's talk about a bad episode. Episode 5, Small Worlds, written by Peter J. Hammond, which originally aired November 12th, 2006. What the fuck were you thinking? What the fuck was that ending?
This episode is straight up a page one rewrite.
Yeah.
This episode literally fucks up in every possible way.
Yeah.
It doesn't check any boxes. It in fact unchecks all of the boxes possible.
Yeah. So this episode, we learn that fairies are real, but they're essentially these, like, primordial beings that have been on this earth for so long, nobody knows how to deal with them, including Torchwood. They kidnap children and then use them as their fairy bodies and shit.
yeah,
I don't fucking know. And they live forever.
It was implied that that's how they reproduced. Like they just picked 8 children, and now you're 8
children.
8 children. Yeah.
Yeah.
They picked a child, and that child was basically their next fairy.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just remembered the fucking. Okay, so get out your bingo tables, motherfuckers! Get out your fucking bingo tables. Okay, things that tick Max off. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If your episode of a serious drama involving science fiction ends with a fucking goosebumps
stinger.
Like the stinger.
Yeet.
Fuck you.
What, you don't like that twist at the end? I hate it.
That twist is asinine. That twist is an insult to every viewer's intelligence.
Yeah.
That is the dumbest fucking thing.
I feel like this episode wanted 2 things. To talk about, like, the possibility of fairies, and then showing the relationship that Jack had with that older woman. I feel like that's all this episode wanted to do, and everyone just kind of wrote around it, being like, the details don't matter.
Welcome, once again, to my wife being absolutely correct. The best part of this episode is seeing Jack's relationship with that older woman.
Yeah.
But then she dies, like 15 minutes in, and that plotline is done. We don't talk about it.
He grieves for her, and that's it.
That, I feel like, again, page 1 rewrite, you have that whole plotline last until the end.
Yeah.
And secondly, again, pull out your fucking bingo
Child
tables.
actors.
Child actors.
I feel like she was okay. She was creepy in a way.
Absolutely not. She looks like Disaster Girl. Like every time she looks at the camera and she does like the little smirk, and I'm like, this is not scary. You are a meme. This is a picture of a meme, and I cannot take you seriously.
That's fair.
And then we have the
worst ending.
Trigger warning for parental abuse, I guess.
Oh yeah, that was great. I loved that.
And bullying.
And she's not okay because she doesn't have friends, and they think she's basically crazy.
And
that's the reason your dad left.
And that's the reason your dad left. So this is great.
Hey, he eats shit at least.
Yeah, I guess we can be comforted in the fact that
one abuser
dies. This episode, when we say the ending, we mean the entirety of the last act, because you may think, okay, so the show establishes that fairies can do whatever they want, whenever they want, and no one can stop them.
Yeah, they've killed before. Jack has seen them killed before. Yeah. Kill an entire platoon of soldiers.
Yeah. So you may be wondering,
how do we fight them?
Oh, wait, Max, is this the time when Jack Harkness jumps out of a car with that gun?
No, that's next episode.
No, in fact, there is no solution.
Yeah, you can't fight them.
The Torchwood actually does nothing, achieves nothing. Jack ends up just giving them what they want, which is
he gives them a child,
and
he sacrifices a child,
and then
we never talk about it again.
And then earlier in the episode, we got a whole thing where they were looking at those old fake photographs of fairies that everybody knows are actually fake. And then the show that tells you, yeah, these fucking pictures are fake. But then at the end of the episode, after all this shit's happened,
Gwen zooms
in, and we see that one of the fairies
child's face
had
on
that
the
child's
fairy.
face, and that's the Goosebumps stinger.
It's so
and
dumb.
Fuck you. That's stupid.
Yeah, no,
that is ridiculous. Also because it looks super fake.
Oh
yeah,
you
just photoshopped the girl's face on top of the fairy's head.
Yeah, it's bad.
But this episode is a page 1 rewrite. Send it back and tell the chef to do it again.
Yeah, you can't have, in a show about fighting aliens, you can't have an alien that's gonna win no matter what. There's no tension for the cast, because it's it's the beginning of a season, so they're not all gonna die. It's clearly you need to have some way to combat this, rather than just, I don't know, sacrifice this child.
I feel like
she wanted to go anyway, whatever, she was weird.
It's weird, right? Because I almost feel, okay, here you go. Here's Max reading too much, okay? You ready? Put on your extra thick glasses for reading too much. Do you think Russell T Davies was like, fuck, Peter, you wrote a shitty-ass episode. Let me shove it between Cyberwoman and Countrycide, some of the 2 best episodes in this entire fucking season.
That's honestly possible. I don't know. I feel like they were just too late in the writing process, and they were already ready to film it, and they're like,
it's really early in the season too, so I imagine that they were like, oh fuck, Peter, you really dropped the fucking ball.
Yeah.
Now,
and that's why they never addressed it again.
And this is the one of the few things that doesn't come back. And we're gonna talk about this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Especially with season 3 of season
3 of Doctor Who.
It is season 3
Martha.
of Doctor Who. Russell T Davies is a human being
Mm-hmm.
who can make mistakes, and he makes plenty of the mistakes in season 3 of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
He lets quite a as a showrunner. Listen. I can point fingers at the writers as much as I want, but the showrunner is the person
who
ultimately gives the green light, and he's hurting the cats, and he let this episode through, mm-hmm. and this episode is fucking terrible because mm-hmm. it leaves you completely unsatisfied. Our heroes, the people we're cheering for, achieve nothing.
In fact, they literally sacrifice a child for the greater good, essentially.
And what are the problems in this episode? The antagonist is way too powerful, and there's nothing our heroes can do.
It can literally manipulate weather.
And I feel like there was in the brainstorming session, they just forgot to come up with a weakness for the fairies, or any way to interact with them.
Yeah.
And they forgot to just add an alien artifact that could help them do this, mm-hmm. or some sort of stupid technobabble. There was nothing. Mm-mm. They literally couldn't do it. Toshko just sat in the chair talking about weather patterns.
Yeah, for the whole episode.
And then Owen is just this lady drowned without water.
Oh, this dude had
her body's
a bunch
soaking wet. It's so dry as a bone.
This dude had a bunch of rose petals up his,
up his butt.
Up his butt. And up his throat.
That's one way to die.
Yeah.
I really feel and I know someone there is gonna be like I don't get it. But when you're a writer and we write fiction, we create stories.
We don't write fiction.
This is a straight up first draft. This feels uneven. It feels unbalanced. Why does the most interesting part, the plot with the older lady, ends 50 minutes in?
Yeah, it ends way too soon.
That was the thing that was keeping me going. I'm I want to know more about Jack.
Yeah,
I want to know about what's going on.
I love this complexity where he's lying to the lady and being yeah, that was my dad. Oh, you look exactly like him.
Yeah, it's oh, what happened to your dad? Oh, we're not in talking terms anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm that was interesting. That was leading me on. But then it just ends.
But then she just dies.
It just ends. And as you were saying, I agree with you. It just feels like they came up with these cool, two interesting things and tried to write the whole episode around them.
Yeah.
Instead of making the episode about those things.
Exactly.
And the lady was involved with the research of the fairies, but then she dies and we just forget about that plotline.
Yeah, that's it.
I feel
then we go to this creepy child.
In a better version of this episode, she's part of the solution. Her research is what helps the team actually find the weakness of the fairies.
Yeah, 100%.
In the good version of this episode,
yeah,
she's part of the solution. And maybe she still dies at the end and she has to sacrifice herself.
Yeah,
but that makes her useful. It gives her agency, as opposed to just
drowning in a puddle of water, essentially.
This episode is a downer. Not because it's sad, but because it's just wasted potential. This is a wasted 45-minute episode.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, guys, you fucked up. Enough about fairies.
Yeah, enough about fairies.
This episode fucking sucks. Is this the worst episode this season? No, never mind. I forgot about Random Shoes.
Which one's Random Shoes?
Fucking Nobody McNobody's face.
Oh, no!
We're not going to get to talk about it this
not this recording session.
But
on the next one.
Anyway, let's talk about Countryside.
Let's talk about
Countryside. Let's talk about sleeping. I used this episode to sleep.
People are about to be really confused.
That's fair. Episode 6, Countrycide, written by Chris Chibnall, which originally aired November 19th, 2006. I used to use this episode to go to sleep because the first part of this episode is very quiet.
And then a lot of fucked up shit happens. And then a lot of
tension happens. I don't know how I slept through all that.
The only thing I knew about this episode is that you used to watch the beginning of it to fall asleep. And I was like, okay, I get it. But it's also really, intense.
It's really tense.
And, creepy. So, I don't know. But
psychoanalyze
my wife in the comments.
This says a lot about me as a person.
Does it?
I guess.
So, Countrycide.
A bunch of people are disappearing out in the countryside.
Yeah, so Torchwood's gotta go check it out.
Yeah, because it could be mysteriously alien in some way.
Yeah, so the gang decides to camp. Mm-hmm. And as they are hanging out around in this desolate area, they find a body
stripped of all of its skin and organs and stuff like that. All that gross shit. And then their car gets stolen.
And then we
track the car and figure out what the hell is going on out here.
Yep. And the whole episode is a mystery as to what the hell is going on. And,
and who are these aliens?
Yeah, who are these aliens?
Turns out, of course, the real monster is humans.
There's a really good joke with the lady.
Yeah.
With the older lady. we get this whole thing where like people are basically being cut up for meat, and we assume that it's aliens who are feasting on people. Mm-hmm. And we get a segment with Toshko and Yanto being in the basement basically,
chained up,
and an older woman with a gun is like, please come with me, otherwise they're gonna kill me.
Yeah.
And there's a juke, of course,
because she is in on it too.
Twisteroo, and then we learn that it's actually the people of this village have had this ritual forever, this harvest,
where like once a year, or once every 10 years,
or like once every 10 years, they just kill a bunch of people to eat.
Yeah, and feed off that.
And this episode is very intense. It's all shot in this kind of like old British town.
Like a ghost town, essentially.
A ghost town,
There's like a pub, there's like some houses, but it's like tiny.
It actually, this episode to me almost feels like a small movie.
Yeah, totally.
There's a lot of production value here.
Yeah.
Production quality. It's very intense.
Oh my god, so fucking tense.
I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. The casting is fantastic, not only for the lady, but also for the main antagonist.
The main guy.
That guy looks like a fucking cannibal psychopath.
Yeah.
And that's good casting there.
That's good casting. Sorry, dude.
Sorry that you were born with that face.
It's terrible.
But that's a joke. It's joke.
It's
joku. But I feel like good casting is when me as the viewer, I'm able to believe that this person is playing this character, and I forget that person is actually an actor.
That we're all in like this is all make believe.
I'm not boasting, but I'm maybe it's part of my anxiety that I become really self-aware, and I not disassociate, but associate while I'm watching a movie, and I'm like, oh, that's a person that's acting,
right?
And I insert myself in the shoes, and I go, I wonder what it's like to do this scene. Mm-hmm. And for this particular episode, I really got lost in there, which is just goes to show that the casting was really good, but it was also just. I still put myself in their shoes, and I'm like, man, I wonder.
What the fuck?
That guy did a really good performance as a cannibal psychopath.
Yeah.
Like, it was, especially up until the very end, we're going to talk about that. But that ending sequence is so fucking strong. And
it's full of tension, and like, even though the danger is done, like, that ending scene is still like nail-biting.
You just nailed it, because the tension's over.
All of our characters are safe.
But we're still like biting our nails, wanting to know what
the hell is going on.
Is Countrycide a phenomenal episode? Because I think it is.
I really like it, honestly.
We also... Is it better than Captain Jack Harkness?
No. I love that episode.
You know what? I feel terrible. Because I think the presence of racism in Captain Jack Harkness is the one thing that pushes it away from being the upper echelon. Because I can recommend Countrycide without absolutely any hesitation.
I do feel like with Captain Jack Harkness, if they hadn't addressed the racism, it would have been a little off-putting. The fact that they address it, and then our character who we're like following from the past, Captain Jack Harkness, we'll talk about that later, is addressing it and being like, shut the fuck up. And then all the other characters treat Toshko well. I feel like that's okay. It sucks, but it was a part of British history, and it's...
Okay. You know what my one thing is?
Okay.
We're gonna talk about... I mean, maybe I'll remember, but it's just like... Captain Jack Harkness is the episode where the racist lady is like, oh, no, you know what? I am misremembering. I'm thinking of...
you're thinking of
Martha Jones. I'm thinking of Martha.
You're thinking of human...
I'm thinking of pointing out the bones in my fingers.
Oh, I know. No.
You know what?
It's just that one lady.
It's just that one racist lady.
And then everyone else treats her fine.
You know what? I was misremembering. I was thinking Martha Jones.
You were thinking Human Nature and the Family.
You know what? In that case, Captain Jack Harkness, definitely the best of this season. And then Countrycide.
Yeah, hell yeah. No, okay. So my favorite part of this episode is the camp scene towards the beginning.
Yes.
Where they all like try to bond, and then it gets really depressing. Where
they're like, when was the last time you made out with someone?
And then like Tosh goes, oh no, it's like Gwen was like, oh yeah, and then because no, but at this point they're not fucking yet.
No, they're not.
There's
fucking
some
yet.
sexual tension between Owen and Gwen.
But like
she's like, I kissed Reese this morning. Tosh goes like, it was, Owen, last New Year's Eve, and, that was so long ago. And then Yanto's like, it was my dead wife. my dead girlfriend.
And
then everyone just goes like, so you want to go get firewood?
Yeah, you want to not talk about this?
I
want to address all of the sadness around us?
I love that bit, because
it's funny.
Like, Yanto actually gets some character in this episode, which I really appreciate, because there's not much more for him.
I will admit that, the Yanto that we get in the season is spread very thin over a large slice of toast, but what's there is definitely meaningful.
I love his little bit at the beginning is like, I got all these, hot dogs for you, but they might have E. coli.
Oh yeah. There were burgers.
Burgers, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my friend got hepatitis off of one of these.
Yeah, Jesus. Now,
anyway,
I feel like it's funny because we talk about. I feel like I've gotten everything I wanted to say about Countrycide. It's very strong, very intenseful, very exciting and interesting. And I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
And we're like, how are we gonna fix the problem?
And
then literally
USA.
Jack Harkness
what happens at the end? No.
barreling
Everyone is in this barn, and everyone's about to be cut up for meat, and fucking Yanto's bleeding. His nose is broken. The psychopath man is standing there
with and
he's missing teeth, and he's giving the little cackling laugh. And then what fucking happens?
We get a car through the building, and Jack Harkness comes out with a shotgun,
and it just starts shooting everybody.
And then when the shotgun runs out of bullets, he pulls out his tiny little revolver and goes, pew, pew.
Captain Jack Harkness
Saves
stepping out of a fucking car with guns is the best fucking thing in this fucking episode.
Listen, Captain Jack Harkness saving the day with guns is the best.
See, it's funny for me because a lot of problems in Torchwood can't be solved by pulling out a gun and shooting at the aliens. But it's funny because in Doctor Who, that's the solution to the problem all the time.
Pretty much.
I feel like and when we're talking about this, when we were watching season 3, that I'm like, man, if Jack Harkness just came out of a car with guns, we wouldn't have this problem. And it's just, I love that moment. I was punching the air.
Good.
I wasn't laughing, but I was smiling because it's
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. But I feel like it's
not in a way that breaks
I hate to make
your
this,
immersion.
I hate to make this I guess slightly sexual, but it feels like the perfect climax to this very intense episode.
Yeah, this cathartic
it's a cathartic ending because
and then it ramps up the tension again. But
because it's very effectful when it comes to its pacing because we are stressed. We've been in this room where all these people are
horrible,
and there's bodies
blood
hanging
everywhere,
and Yanto has been trying to has been fighting.
And Yanto's got like a knife, a butcher's knife to his throat, essentially.
And we have our team, and we literally don't know how the problem's gonna get solved.
Everyone but Jack is there, tied up and bloody.
Jack drives through the wall in a car, jumps out with a shotgun, and just goes ka-thunk, ka-thunk, ka-thunk.
Literally screaming, I believe.
Is it funny that I want to watch that episode again? Just to watch that moment.
That's fair.
Because it's just so good.
It's real good.
I feel like, you, my love, you have a way with words. Cathartic is the perfect way to describe it.
Yeah.
It feels cathartic after all these tension that I was feeling. I was on the edge of my seat, literally on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
And then just
our boy.
USA.
Yeah, it's great. It feels good, mate.
It feels good, mate.
And we'll talk about the ending too because fuck, I'm gonna sneeze.
So this whole episode we thought that aliens were involved,
and it turns out it's just
it's just humans.
The biggest monster of all was humans.
At the end of the episode, Gwen wants to find out why this all was happening. Like, why did they start doing this? How did normal people just
turn into cannibals?
So Gwen, Jack decides to let Gwen figure it out.
Talk to this man.
Yeah. So we're back in the pub, and the man is tied up to the chair, or has his hands bound behind his back, and Gwen is talking to him, and they're sitting on opposite sides of the table, and Gwen just asks him like, "Why did you do this?" And it
takes him a little bit of conversation, but
the show takes its sweet time. Like I feel like the pauses between her talking and him talking are like 5 minutes long.
Yeah,
but they can't be.
They're not
And the performance by this man is amazing because like he says that he's going to tell her, but only if she leans in. And me as the viewer, I'm like, oh, he's gonna
don't
bite her face, or he's gonna do something weird.
And then he just tells her because it was fun.
No, because it made me happy.
That's what it was, yeah.
And chills. And then the episode just slam cuts, and we get a reaction shot of Gwen, and then that's the end of the episode.
No, it's not.
It's not?
That's not. Jack takes him away, and then we get a montage of Gwen being like, the things we've seen, I can't tell this to anybody.
Yes.
And we realize she's in front of a big old window, and we see Owen come up behind her, shirtless, indicating they have had the sex.
They have had the sex, or so I've been told. But
this
you're
begins correct. The divisive character arc of Gwen. Having an affair.
Yeah, but this episode,
real good,
fucking strong, so strong, so good. Yeah. Oh my god, because it made me happy.
Yeah.
Oh my god, and then he's perfect. God, that was a good episode.
It's a good episode.
Yeah, if you watch one episode of Torchwood, fucking watch Countrycide.
And Captain Jack Harkness. Watch 2.
And then yeah, but watch 2. Watch the whole season. Yeah. Except for literally Small Worlds and...
Random shoes. Fuck random shoes.
We're not going to talk about it in this recording session. We record these in 2 weeks, because they're so long that we have to do several weeks.
Yeah.
But man, I'm not looking forward to talking about Random Shoes. That's a stupid episode.
Hey, we can talk about that.
Jaquetta May, you failed me.
What even is that character's name? I'm just gonna open it here because I can't. Eugene Jones.
Eugene, yeah, you know,
fuckboy name.
Top 10 fuckboy names.
Adam?
Eugene.
That's fair. Yeah.
We're starting our tier list from the top.
Listen, I love Flynn Rider / Eugene, whatever the fuck his name. From
That's a
Tangled.
fuckboy name, though.
That's
why he went by Flynn.
Yeah, he was like, that's.
Yeah, he's like,
name.
that's. Yeah, you know, he looked at himself in the mirror and said, "Let's go to court." That's a joke for Charles.
I know.
Is Charles watching this right now?
I don't know.
Hey, Charles, how you doing?
Hi, Charles.
Hey, we're recording this in the past. Have you got our letter yet?
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Probably, unless we forgot to mail it or to write it.
To do it.
It's weird. You know, time is a ball of whimy,
wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
It goes blip bloop when stuff happens.
Yep.
We'll talk about Blink eventually, but for now,
it's gonna be a while. For now,
let's move over to the next episode.
Lesbians.
I feel like we're gonna talk about the timeline.
Which time? Oh,
our timeline has advanced forward.
Oh yeah, quite a bit.
For anyone out there, hi. Before we talked about the next episode, I'm eating. Don't mind me.
Don't mind us.
A
bit of meta break here.
A bit of a meta break, because as you realize, as you know from watching Doctor Who, all the timelines are happening at the exact same time. So you're the one who's catching up with us, traveling through time in one direction. We're recording this half of the Torchwood Season 1 episode on the 11th of June 2020, before the war happened.
A lot of stuff. Well, you could say the war has already begun.
Well, yes. So, you know... So in case anyone out there is like, oh, you guys were so mad about racism in the show because of what happened to George Flynn, it's like, no, I've always been mad about this shit, always.
Listen, it didn't just begin with George Floyd. We can talk about Emmett Till.
We can go all the way to Sunday. So, in case you've ever wondered, you know, if you're binge watching all of these shows, you know, after the war, and you're like, wow, Dango Duo, you were just so woke because it was the time to be, you know, as it was common, as it was hip in the time. No, we've always been angry about this kind of shit, and especially if you've watched our shit, you know.
I have a bachelor's in sociology. You know, I'm angry about this shit.
Yeah. If anything, we might be the only Doctor Who podcast who's qualified to talk about this.
Fair.
Also, by the way, fuck cops.
Fuck cops.
Fuck the police.
Black Lives Matter.
I wanted to post that clip from me playing Final Fantasy IX back in the day, where I had Sid said "fuck the police." Like, would that be fun? Should I do that? Should I do that? It's like if anybody ever wonders what my stance is on this, it's just, you know, Sid saying "fuck the police."
Hell yeah.
So, you know, I don't know.
There's that. We're also in the timeline where we finished Torchwood Season 2 already, so...
yeah. And then we're about to finish Season 4 of Doctor Who.
Nah, we're
about halfway through.
Yeah.
So
a meta timeline break, you know?
So anyhow, back from the meta time, and let's move over to episode
7, Greeks Bearing Gifts, written by Toby Whitehouse. Whitehouse? I forget how I pronounced it last time. It's fine. Which originally aired November 26th, 2006.
Toby Whitehouse.
Toby McWhitehouse. Lesbians.
This is the lesbian episode of Torchwood, in which Torchwood gets a lesbian alien girlfriend.
Actually feels happy for the first time in her life. I'm very sad.
And for the rest of the season. And the series.
Her alien girlfriend gives her a mind-reading pendant so she can hear the minds of everyone around her.
Yeah, which I feel like it's... talking again about the science fiction of Doctor Who.
Yes.
And Torchwood by extension, because yes, they are connected.
It's the same.
I feel like someone is still yelling at us from the past. But, you know, that's
we're so far in the future, I don't give a shit.
We're so far into the future. Time is a timey-wimey, wobbly thing. It goes bleep bloop when things happen. But this is one of those, like, ideals of science fiction. Is like, what if you could know what people are thinking?
Yeah, and it illustrates the good and the bad of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the way that Toshko saves a family from being killed by a grieving husband, a divorcing
divorcee. Yeah.
But also that, she gets to hear what her coworkers really think about her.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe this is a bigger topic for the situation at hand, but I really feel that like science fiction gets us to revisit these ideas because we're not the first. This is not the first time in fiction. I feel like there's something that gets addressed, and some people find that disheartening. The idea that like no ideas are original.
No, not anymore.
No, but I mean, I don't think they ever.
I don't think, yeah.
But the idea is that like you could write, dear listener, you could write a novel about people being able to hear each other's thoughts and still make it interesting because there's so much here. Because people want this for different things.
Yeah.
And then I feel like throughout time, I feel like a version of this episode nowadays would be completely different from that one.
It's true. Honestly.
And I feel like this brings us back to like the ideals that we want as humanity. We would love to know what people are thinking. We would love to live forever.
Right.
And again, even though the idea is like, oh, what if there was a technology that let people live forever? You could still tell so many stories like that because it means different things for every one of us.
And also in the way that you tell it is also important.
Absolutely. So if for any writers out there, do not take this as disheartening because there is...
Take it as heartening.
As heartening because you can make stories very interesting, even with these things that, if
humanity has explored for thousands of years, essentially.
And the thing is that, like, this episode isn't even entirely about that.
No, it's really more about Toshko's lesbian girlfriend.
Yeah. And,
whose name is some Greek thing, anyway.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I'm not going to open the page.
Not Sappho, because that would be
a little
too
on the nose.
That would be way on the nose.
Little bit.
Way on the nose.
Yeah.
I like this episode. I like it because the relationship between Toshko and her gay alien girlfriend no one ever goes, oh, what? 2 women?
2 women.
And
oh yeah, no, that's in the second episode where Owen's like, ooh, hot, where fucking Gwen and sex alien kiss and make out.
Which is a very guy writing a show line.
Yeah.
Because no one, you have never in the history of TV watch 2 men kiss and then people around them go, damn, that's hot. Because men write fiction and men wouldn't say that.
Yeah, unless it's written by women.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah.
And the whole Fujoshi thing comes up about that.
Yeah. So like, it's one of those things where like, I would find that refreshing if I saw a show and like 2 guys kissed and then the cast of the sitcom went, man, that's hot.
That's hot.
I would find that refreshing because all that I've known
is two women kissing hot.
Is women being lesbians is hot.
Guys being gay, not hot.
Exactly, thank you.
Yeah, I got you.
Instead of like what day of the week is like, is that hot or not hot, kitty? And the answer is, it's all hot.
It's all hot.
It's all hot.
Listen, y'all want to make out? Go for it.
Yo, and we're living through the apocalypse right now, so
fucking make out. Just 6 feet apart. Use precautions, everyone. Yeah. Keep your face masks on while you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna say my gangbangs have looked very different these last 3
You are stealing my joke.
You were gonna go for that, weren't you? The thing about being married is that we share a telepathic link, and I saw that coming down like the queue,
and you were like,
let's watch that.
I was like the sushi conveyor belt.
I was about to say, we're so fucking married. We're the same person.
We are the same. See, who needs to read somebody else's mind? Just get married to somebody that you're very well connected to, and then you can read their mind constantly.
There you go.
So,
so the one thing that I don't like about this episode is that
I have one very minor dislike.
The lesbian relationship is ultimately so the alien can take advantage of Toshko's position in Torchwood so that she can accomplish a thing.
Yeah, so she can go home, essentially. Kind of.
I legit would have just and I know that this is just me being very queer and very sad, but I would like the affirmation of there being a lesbian relationship in the show that has queer people in it, but there isn't a lot of women people being queer.
Yeah, it's really only the men, which is still for 2006 is phenomenal.
It's especially once we get to Captain Jack Harkness.
Woo!
But and I feel like that's when you can tell that Russell T Davies, a gay man, ran this show.
Yes.
And that's not always a bad thing.
And it's not always a good thing.
The camera pans towards Ryan Murphy, and then we all gag. It's one of those things, right? And okay, fuck it. Let's just say it. Let's just talk about it.
All right.
Dango Duo. You sleep when a straight man is writing anything. That's true. And you wake when a queer person is writing anything. It's true. But just because someone is queer doesn't mean that the writing is gonna get a pass from us.
It just makes us pay attention more.
It makes us wake as opposed to just sleep.
Exactly.
And like, cause like fucking Ryan Murphy's gay.
Yeah.
He's a shitty ass fucking showrunner.
He's a horrible man.
He's a horrible man in general. So you know, nobody gets a pass
just for being
queer. I feel like you really encapsulated it. It makes us pay attention. That's why, like, you know, when we had our little project back before the apocalypse, we would go to our local bookstore and we would just, you know, buy queer books to read.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think they're open again yet.
No, they're but I am supporting them through Libro.
Hell yeah.
Fucking, I love my local bookstore.
It's so good.
So
met one of my childhood heroes there.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling. No, it's a shame she died.
Yeah.
It
was Daniel Handler.
Yeah.
/ Lemony Snicket.
Yeah, isn't he from here?
He is from San Francisco. So he's pretty local.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, once you have that context, a series of unfortunate events really, like, you can feel the San Francisco.
You can feel it a little, especially in the first book.
Yeah, but anyhow.
Anyway.
Hi. Back to Torchwood. I just wish, because their relationship felt a little bit genuine.
It did up until, like, towards the end, where you can kind of see that she is manipulating her.
Yeah.
But, like, throughout the whole most of the episode, they feel like they have some sort of genuine connection, even though, you know, the alien lady knows everything about Toshiko because she could read her mind and all that. And I like how they kind of explain it as, like, oh, that's how our people communicate.
Yeah.
I like that that's, like, its own little, like...
And, like, I you know, again, maybe this is just me being queer and sad and wanting affirmation, but I could have totally seen the show going on with this alien being a part of the cast.
Yeah. Kind of like how Reese becomes part of the cast later.
Yeah, and like, you mean, sorry, I heard that as, like, R-E-S-S-E.
Oh.
And I'm like, and that
and you're like the alpaca?
And that made me think of Reeve from FF7, and I'm just, like, gagging internally.
God, fuck that.
But, I know. But, like I could have seen a show where we have an alien in the cast, and I would have very much preferred that, because it's very human-centric.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, you know, I feel like there's something that I've addressed before, but, like, Torchwood is a show about aliens and humanity getting ready for the 21st century, and there's a kind of an absence of aliens.
Yeah.
You know? There isn't, like, a different type of alien every episode, like in Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm. Which is sometimes a good thing and sometimes a bad thing.
It's not necessarily a bad thing. Torchwood definitely leans more on the supernatural side.
Yeah.
And that's completely fine.
Much more broad in the sci-fi, like, senses. Like, it's not specifically just aliens. It's also, you know, alien technology, like alien ideas. Stuff like that. So,
yeah.
And I appreciate that about Torchwood, is that it's a more mature look also at some of these moral quandaries that Doctor Who can sometimes bring up, but falters at because it's a family-friendly show.
Wicked, man, you're opening a can of worms.
Oh, we'll talk about that for season 3 of Doctor Who. Don't you fucking worry.
I'm gonna say right now that Doctor Who is a family show. But that is by absolutely no means an excuse at the many moments where it falters at actually talking about the gross-ass things that it wants to talk about, except it doesn't really want to talk about them.
No, because it's a family picture.
And like, the episode hasn't gone up, but I can feel that someone is mad at me for what I said about season 2. About the school reunion episode. So someone is like, oh, they did not imply a sexual relationship. It's a family show. Watch that fucking episode again. Actually, go and watch it if you can even stand it. And you'll see that they imply a sexual relationship. And I'm like, did you have
or at least some sort of, like, very close, almost intimate.
Very intimate.
Yeah.
Like not almost. It was certainly intimate.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you have to imply this? In this family picture? Anyhow.
Yeah.
Your nitpick.
My incredibly minor nitpick is that, like, in this episode, we see how legitimately depressed Yanto is, and we don't address it until next season. Yanto is legitimately suffering from depression during this season, and doesn't really get to shine at all, except for in Countrycide, and that's about it. And I feel bad, man. It just makes me feel bad that they're not going to talk about it at all. And that they kind of, like... I don't think they think less of him because of what happened with his cyber girlfriend.
Yeah.
But, like, it does definitely make him an other in some ways. Which is unfortunate because he is a bisexual character.
Yeah. I guess I'll just come out and say it right now. Because this is going to come up later once we have to deal with Doctor Who. But even right now, we're almost done with Tennant.
Yes, we have.
There's
half a fourth season and some specials.
6 episodes left and a few specials of Tennant.
Yeah,
and I gotta say that probably one of the faults of Doctor Who is that it focuses very much on what's happening in this new and exciting episode of Doctor Who and Torchwood as well. Maybe this is a Russell T Davies thing.
It's possible.
But, like, there's very little Like, I feel like I haven't gotten enough Tennant character development for 3 seasons.
That's fair.
I really feel like his character had a moment of strife, and that's about it. And especially once we talk about, like,
season 3,
Martha, period, and the absolute lack of any kind of character, anything for Martha. Sorry, I'm already so angry that it's just like I look at Torchwood and I'm like, there should have been more for Yanto.
There should have been a little more,
and also this first season is good. It's a good first season, but and someone out there is like I have my Max bingo table and I know what Max is gonna say, but character is the most important thing for me. It's what I watch shows for.
Yeah,
it's what gets me invested, and I do realize that for some of the characters in this season, especially Yanto, it's really on the short side.
Yeah, and it's a fault of writing like a weekly show for one thing. I know it is a weekly show that's gotta have like each episode be kind of its own thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially for Doctor Who, a little less so with Torchwood.
Yeah.
So a lot of the characters get to shine a little bit more, especially Gwen, our main character.
Yeah, that's true. Gwen definitely gets a lot.
Yeah, she gets a lot.
And fucking Owen gets a lot.
Owen gets a shit ton, especially in season 2.
It's
a little crazy.
And I also, by the way, for the one person who's screaming into the void, first off, we can't hear you. We're in a different timeline, and secondly, I also know that this is a show written by many people.
Yes,
and that's why the burden of making this show shine falls on the showrunner.
Exactly.
And I gotta say this right now because someone out there again is saying that we are our mouths must be tired of sucking Russell T Davies's dick. Wait until season 3.
Yeah.
Wait until season 3.
Listen, we cannot forgive.
Well, there are things that I cannot forgive, and there is like 4 episodes in season 3 that
we will not forgive.
That I cannot forgive. So like trust me when I say that like we
we like Russell T Davies, but that does not exclude him from
that does not exclude the
criticism.
And one of those pieces of criticism is there isn't a lot of character development for people in the main cast. Toshko gets this episode, and that's about it.
That's about it for this season.
And I definitely feel that Toshko is one of the characters in the season who ends up without a lot going for her.
Oh, same with Yanto. I feel like in a lot of ways this season their characters take a step back because they lose something essentially.
Yeah.
They don't gain as much until next season.
Yeah, they end up with less than what they had before you even knew who they were.
Exactly. So it's definitely a weak point of the show is that the minorest of party members basicly get less screen time, less development.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where like everybody no. Toshko and Yanto very much feel to me like they're the Quina of this team so far.
Right, that's fair.
Freya, lots of character development. Vivi, lots of character development. Steiner,
lots of character development.
Thankfully, no one is Amaranth.
Yeah.
No one is Amaranth.
Gets like a tiny flashback and that's it.
Yeah, and you have to actually go get their ultimate weapon to know what the hell their backstory was and how they're connected to fucking Zidane to begin with. Final Fantasy IX references out of the way. Kate, is there anything else you want to say about this episode that is definitely full of lesbians and girlfriends?
Yeah, that's I do wish Toshko got a lesbian girlfriend.
I especially because Toshko's character just keeps going back to her one character trait of it being about Owen and her crush on Owen, and I'm like, girl,
you can do so much better.
Yeah,
he's fucking Gwen right now. You can do so much better.
And he's not gonna particularly get much better. Anyway,
would you say Owen is your least favorite of the main cast? Because I would say that, honestly.
Well, it's hard. Okay, because I feel like
I'm telling you to kill one of your children, essentially. But
well, for sure that's the easiest child to kill. But
true.
But to me, it's different because I'm doing the tier list, right? I'm doing the tier list. Then mine fucking that's Charles. Hey, Charles.
Hey, Charles. Are you watching this? Who knows?
Who knows? Hope you're having fun. Whatever you're doing right now, Charles. Because Jack top of the list.
Yeah.
Gwen, Yanto, Tosh,
and then
and like, because Owen is the character I like
the character
the
archetype least. Also is that it's not.
It's very much like it's a guy kind of character. It's like
he's for the dudes.
He's for this one's for the dudes. And like that's fine. You can have that kind of character, but like I sleep.
Yeah.
Like it's
3 Owen episodes in a row in season 2.
3 Owen episodes in a row. I was like, man, I sure I'm invested in what's going on the screen right now. And I know that we keep talking about this, and we watched the Doctor Who season 4 with Capaldi.
Yes, we did.
And I'm like it's hard for me to be excited about
old white man,
12th Doctor, old man, Doctor Who man. But he did a really good performance in Pompeii.
Fires of Pompeii.
So I'm like, maybe? But I do admit that like there isn't much, and what I'm getting at is that there isn't much likability in Owen. Mm-hmm. Owen is on purpose not a likable character.
And that's kind of why you're supposed to like him in a way.
And it's weird because I very much preferred him in Pacific Rim, where he's like he's like this fucking almost the same character, but he's like immediately flawed in that he has his disability.
Yeah.
And not to say that
disabled people are flawed.
Or that should be your character flaw when you're checking your character list. That's fucking stupid. But I like that,
he's more nuanced and complex.
Yeah, and his contrast with Charlie Day's character, who's basically jumping around all over the place being excited about science. Mm-hmm. You have someone equally as excited about science, but who is disabled, something that we just don't fucking see in media to begin with. Yeah, and I found it to be way more interesting than Owen is a sad doctor man who is just basically seeking adrenaline wherever he can in the form of just banging people left and right.
Banging people, hunting aliens,
Yeah, which is, like, to me that just feels that
he gets more nuanced to his character, we will admit, nuanced, but
it's one of those things where I'm like, this is that toxic masculinity ideal of like, well, I'm not going to talk about my feelings or seek help, so I'm just going to, keep injecting adrenaline into my veins until, I self-destruct.
Until season 2, and he actually talks a little bit about his feelings.
Blow up and then pretend that he don't know no better. Is there anything else you want to say?
Look, we should probably move on to the next episode.
Well, let's go!
Let's go. That did remind me that we forgot to talk about the one slightly transphobic line in Greeks bearing gifts.
Fuck! You're right. No. Okay, let's talk about it right now.
Or better than this episode.
Do you want to like JoJo and like have this show up in the other thing?
Nah, it's fine. It's only 2 episodes earlier.
Maybe we just JoJo'd right now.
Maybe we did.
Hey, this is Max and Kitty for the future. For we forgot to talk about the one transphobic line in this episode. Mm-hmm. So, and I legit feel there's one transphobic line in this episode, and I legit feel that, like, the line was written, and John Barrowman didn't like it because he gave the worst possible reading of that line.
He did not give a very good reading.
It sounded like he was trying to save it to not make it sound transphobic.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just me reading into it. But the line is that, the Toshko is in a relationship with his alien girlfriend, right? And Jack has realized,
and he's realized she's acting odd.
Yeah, and then when pressed about why is it that he cares now, when she's been reading into people's minds and she knows that, and she's realized that no one cares about her. That's not true, but people's thoughts are stupid anyway. Yeah. Jack says that he once had a friend, and it's explained in the story that the friend was clearly assigned male on birth, and that this friend
started acting weird, and then disappeared for a while,
and then 6 months later they come back, and now they're Victoria, and
he always worries about friends who suddenly turn differently, essentially,
and maybe you just heard us say this, and you're like, that doesn't sound too bad, but and again. John Barrowman's read is so weird.
It's really...
And it's funny because, seeing it on paper, but seeing it on the screen, I can feel... The ultimate message of that is well, if Jack had been there for the friend, he wouldn't have come out as trans. Because coming out as trans is a bad thing.
Right. Or something, that disturbs the natural order.
It's like, because Jack didn't intervene, now his friend came out as a trans woman. And that's a shame. It's painted very much in that way. And
or like a cautionary tale.
It's like a cautionary tale is well, I should have been paying attention to my friend, otherwise... And I feel like all you need is just to kind of twist the last part of that sentence, and suddenly it's a supportive statement of like, you know, like I should have been there for my friend when they needed me.
I'm gonna be here for you now.
For you now. But instead it's a cautionary tale of like my friend came out as trans because I wasn't there for him. And I fucking hate that.
Yeah, that's gross.
It's fucking gross. Fuck you. Who fucking wrote that episode? Who fucking wrote that episode?
It was Toby Whithouse.
Fuck you, Toby Whithouse.
Yeah. Get that transphobia out of here.
Also, no, Russell T Davies. What the fuck?
Yeah, why'd you let that?
What the fuck, Russell T Davies? It wasn't the style of the time.
It wasn't.
Anyhow.
Anyway, back to what episode we were talking about. Episode 8, They Keep Killing Suzie, written by Paul Tomlin and Dan McCulloch, which originally aired December 3rd, 2006. Susie's back!
I was not expecting Suzie to be back. I will absolutely admit that took me by surprise.
Fair.
God,
how does this episode even go? God, it's been a long time. I think there's like...
Oh, it's the one.
It's the guy who goes crazy and is starting to kill people and has torchwood of blood written in blood on the wall.
What I like about this episode is that it gives us emotional payoff for the idea of, I think it introduces retcon actually.
No, retcon's been around since episode 1, but it's the idea of like prolonged exposure to retcon could cause.
Yeah, exactly. And again, can I say that I love the idea that the amnesia memory pill is called retcon?
Yeah, it's great.
See, like that's fun and that's good. Because it's not on the nose.
Yeah.
If it was called amnesia, or forget me not,
you're right.
Like that would be. By the way, I'm touching my nose with my finger, which you shouldn't do unless you have sanitizer hands or wash them for 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
So we have that, and of course we are once again we have Suzie.
Yep, we bring her back with the glove.
But
something goes wrong. They can't kill her.
Yep, they can't kill her.
She keeps living.
We learn that she shares a life link with
the person who brought her back with the glove, Gwen.
Not to be confused with the Magic of the Gathering mechanic life link.
Of course. So she's basically stealing Gwen's life, and shit happens.
Yep, and Suzie, of course, has a personal mission. This has all been part of her plan.
Yep.
She meant for this to happen. You know, she wanted to revolver Ocelot this. She meant to cut off her own hand.
Right, exactly.
So absolutely, and we learn in the climax of this episode so that she was doing it to finally get revenge on her shitty ass dad.
Yeah, which is fair.
well, I mean,
of all the motives to almost kill a bunch of people,
mood,
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool motive, still murder, but
the crimes that Dango Duo forgives. That's not true.
Definitely
that's not true. As Kitty said, cool motive,
still murder. Still murdered like families of a lot of people.
To me, this is a very solid episode.
Yeah, I really like this one, honestly, as giving like a character who is completely one-off a second one, second off, essentially.
Absolutely.
Giving her more character development, even though we know she's dead. It's interesting because you get to learn more about Torchwood, like inside Torchwood as well. The fact that like they keep your body, they keep all of your stuff essentially. They don't contact your outside world, your family. You kind of get to learn more about what happens to you after you die at Torchwood. Yeah. Which is very important, honestly.
Yeah, I put this episode right up along with the next season episode, Adam, because it feels like an episode about Torchwood.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I know this sounds weird, but most episodes tend to be about something happening and Torchwood reacts to it. As opposed to this episode, which is very much about the inner workings,
the internal,
and that gives us world building,
Yay.
Which is very important.
That's very important
because it makes the setting feel more alive and more thought out. And definitely, I don't have a lot to say about this episode.
No, it's good.
But I it's good.
It's good. It's Susie's actress is great.
Yeah,
she does a really good performance.
Yeah, and especially missing the back of her head and all that other stuff.
Yeah, that's like good practical effects. That looked good.
Yeah, like the back of her head looking all kind of like wet.
Yeah, wet and bloody.
Yeah, and like her hair being in like clumps. And it's there's a lot of good practical effects in this show, and I don't know if I've said this already in the past, but those Weevil masks are
good,
really good
masks.
It's kind of dumb that all the Weevils are wearing like
the same
jumpsuit,
outfits. But
that is dumb. But that's also very Doctor Who, so I'm willing to forgive it.
Yeah.
Those Weevil masks though are great.
Those are nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if you want to take this as a chance to talk about people being mad at the fact that Gwen is a woman, because I can definitely see how a lot of that ammunition can be drawn from this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because Gwen serves the role of the dumb character who's driven by emotion.
Exactly. But that's Gwen.
And that's Gwen, though. And I
that's why, like, it's kind of those things. That's why she ended up sleeping with Owen, is she is completely driven by emotion and this fear that she can't talk to Reese about any of the stuff that she's actually working on. She can only emotionally connect to someone who's actually been there. That's the same with her taking Suzie to go see her father, because she thinks it's like her dying wish, essentially.
Yeah.
She's like, okay,
it's someone's dying wish.
It's somebody,
I guess writing lesson 101 is that I would say, and I don't think this is a particularly insightful statement, but I'm going to state it because otherwise things remain unspoken. It's a very traditional and played out thing that women are reactive to emotion
rather than
logic, which is what's associated in our shitty ass culture as a manly trait,
such as mathematics, science.
Logic and reason are seen as superior to emotion. So if you want to be more nuanced in your writing, why not have a male character who is more attuned to reacting with emotion, and a female character who reacts to logic and reason instead?
And I feel like we get that in Torchwood. We get a very broad spectrum of, Gwen is very emotional, but so is Yanto.
Yeah.
And Tosh is very logical, so is Owen.
Yeah, that's true.
Jack's a nice mix.
Yeah. I was gonna say that Jack is definitely, I would say like 75 emotion, 25% reason.
Yeah.
I would maybe even 80, because Jack, I feel like Jack is led by his own moral compass, as opposed to people who may be more altruistic, like the good of the many outweigh the
needs of the few.
Needs of the few.
Yeah.
But definitely, it's one of those things where it's like, I can see why. I hate saying the word fandom, but the fandom back in the day would have been like,
they hated Gwen.
And like, it was, as it was, I keep messing up that fucking Simpsons reference, as it was the style at the time, for fandoms to be very anti-female.
Yeah, anti-female character.
And I feel that part of that is also, the burden of carrying that is in part for shows that had female characters basically be the dumb character who gets in trouble, who walks ass backwards into trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And the men usually have to save her from it.
Yeah.
But I feel like at least, Gwen is more nuanced. She can hold her own for the most part.
And I think that another reason is that Gwen is also our point of view and is the most human character of the entire cast.
Whereas the whole other cast has been working for Torchwood for, at least months, as we learn in season 2.
Yeah. And I guess the reason why I'm even bringing all this up is because, like, I watched the show, and I was like, yes, this makes sense. I understand why one is doing this.
It's
but I can
dumb,
imagine
but
the everyday person going, oh, that's stupid. Why would she do that? Yeah. I, as the viewer, know that the meta-narrative of the story is like that makes no sense.
It's dramatic irony, essentially.
Yeah.
You're in a position where you can oversee everything, whereas the characters in it cannot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like that's, it's one of those things where, like, I was completely fine with it because I've seen
incredibly Gwen,
yeah, it's incredibly Gwen. And like, if there is a member of the party who's going to fall for this very clear trick,
it would be Gwen.
It would be Gwen.
Not because she's stupid, but because she's emotional. She's the emotional support that is needed.
And to clarify, because I feel like there's a clarification here, she's not driven by emotions. She's driven by empathy.
Yeah,
something
she
that we will
cares
see
for others
on the next season.
Oh, that's
where she shows that she's the only person with morals.
You're not wrong.
No offense. I keep thinking about that moment in the next season. You know which one I'm talking about, where I'm like, a horrible thing happens and everyone reacts coldly, and the only one who has any heart and emotion is Gwen.
Yeah.
And you need that.
You need that. Yeah.
And I feel like it's moments like that that really remind me that Gwen is, in fact, the main character of the story. And that's good.
And I believe I stated this to you off camera, but Russell T Davies specifically wrote that character for that actress.
Yeah.
So I assume, like, he kind of got to know her and what she was very good at playing.
Yeah.
And basically writ it around that.
And she does a really good job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Anything else you want to say about this episode?
No.
It's good.
It's good.
It's one of the good one.
It's a good one.
Fuck.
Episode 9, Random Shoes, written by Jaquetta May, which originally aired December 10th, 2006.
Fuck me right in the butthole. We're gonna talk about Random Shoes. Hey, you guys, by now you've watched about 2.5 episodes of this podcast. I want you all to I'm gonna frame a question, and I want you to just yell into the void.
Yep, we'll hear it, don't worry.
What's the number one thing, aside from racism and misogyny,
and
homophobia and transphobia, what's the one writing thing that Max really doesn't like? Ding dong, ding dong. Episodes about people who don't matter.
Heyo.
Okay, you can stop doing JoJo poses. We're back. We're back from the past.
From the past. To the future.
All right, so
back to the future.
We're talking about random fucking shoes. An episode about nobody who matters.
Fuckboy Eugene.
About fuckboy Eugene.
And his story about how he loves Torchwood and aliens, and his dad was a racist asshole. I don't think he was a racist, but he might have abusive asshole. And how sad he is, and then the one time he tried to find happiness, he fucking died. And now he's a ghost with Gwen. And he's like, oh Gwen, I love you. I wanted to tell you all about my alien mysterious boo boo boo. And then I fucking died. But then at the end I saved her life, so I got to be seen as a ghost, and I got to say goodbye, and then she kissed me, and everything was good. The end.
That's like a fucking just... You hit all the notes, which I fucking hate.
And then my papa sings for me at the funeral.
Oh, fucking this fucking, oh my, that's actually so, that was, oh my god. And it wasn't even like good singing.
No.
Okay, alright, let's back up. This is an episode about a fucking random nobody man who had been wanting to get into Torchwood, or just to learn about aliens.
Wanted to talk to Gwen.
When, which is, we never actually clarify why he knows Gwen is a member of Torchwood, or why he even knows when to begin with, but whatever, it's fine.
I think he just kept showing up at their
He just kept showing up, but
trying to talk to them.
Again. So... we learned that in the past, whatever, abusive dad, who cares? But he had an alien eye, or he thought it was an alien eye. And then he grew up, worked a boring-ass job, and I'm actually telling you the story in chronological order as opposed to the show that just tells you in chunks. It tells it to you fucking...
As Gwen discovers it, essentially.
Attack on Titan style, which is as Gwen discovers it.
Yeah.
So he has the eye, and he decides that, he has given up his hopes of ever finding out about aliens and all that shit, and he's gonna sell it.
Oh, because he thinks the alien is gonna come back to retrieve his eye, so he's like, one day I will meet this alien who I have his eye.
I remember when I had my wisdom teeth removed, I looked for them all over.
Yep.
So he's like, I'm gonna sell it. So he decides to put it up on eBay. He puts up the alien eye on eBay. And then this thing that doesn't happen in the real world happened that bothers me very badly.
The bidding war.
No. It's not the bidding war. Because the eye ends up selling for like 10,000 pounds or something.
And 10,000 and like £2 or something.
10,000 pounds and fucking 69 cents.
Yeah.
69, pence. And then, because see, in the real world where things happen,
where things have consequences,
in eBay, the transaction happens, and then eBay gets its cut of the shares, right? That's why the website exists. But in the show, fuckboy Eugene goes to a random diner to meet with the seller, or with the buyer, and I'm like, that's not how it happens.
Yeah, you would just mail it.
You would just mail it, and this is
even if it's like a Craigslist style.
And I know that this is like someone is like, Max, you're holding on to nothing. This is no. This is not nothing. This is a showing sign of the bad writing in here, because like you didn't have to name eBay. Like
I don't think it named eBay.
No,
but
it's at eBay. They said eBay on the show, and then they showed a page of eBay back.
I know
in the day.
it was clearly an eBay but I didn't notice that it was actually
just
eBay.
The idea that like here's a website where people put things on auction, and then like they just meet up in a random diner.
Yeah, but like anyhow, it's fucking Craigslist.
But then at the diner,
turns out it's his two best friends, quote unquote.
And it's funny because like you can't do that. You can't just bid on something.
Yeah, if you don't have the money.
Yeah, that's against the fucking
terms of service.
But whatever, it's fine. This is not happening in the real world where things have consequences.
And then fuckboy Eugene swallows the alien eye so that they can't get it, and then runs away. And he's like, "I've never felt more alive," and then gets hit by a truck immediately.
So here comes a life tip: never say that.
No.
Never say I've never felt more alive in my life, because then that's when a piano falls on your head.
Exactly.
Because dramatic irony, and that's the way the universe likes to work. So reality is just waiting for the chance to strike.
Yeah.
I wanted to escalate that, but let's not. So once he's dead, the eye had a magical property that turned him into a ghost, right? Basically.
Basically.
And the team at Torchwood, I need you to understand that this whole episode we follow Eugene as he's just stalking Gwen.
Yeah, no, he goes with her and she gets a hotel room and he creepily like lays down next to her with his eyes open watching her as she sleeps.
It's very like creepy, kind of gross. And it's funny because this episode has very little Torchwood in it. Like there isn't even
There's nothing.
like we don't learn what Torchwood is actually doing. We just follow Eugene as he's remembering his own story.
Yeah, essentially. And the only thing that like Torchwood is doing is they wanted the eye, which wasn't even an eye.
So this episode has what we refer to on this show as a Goosebumps kind of escalation, where it goes from like, okay, this is dumb, okay, this is actually just a cartoon now.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the episode, before the funeral.
No, it was like right after the funeral, as they're all at Eugene's mom's house.
Yeah.
Gwen is walking across or just standing in the street. I forget.
She's about to get run over, and then fuckboy Eugene, who
cannot touch anything, who has not been shown to be able to actually touch people or objects or anything,
materializes for long enough to push Gwen out of the way, and then he gets run over again.
No, he doesn't.
Does he?
No. He saves her. He saves her.
But then he
becomes material with her, and she kisses him for some reason.
And then she talks about him as though sorry about that. She talks to him about as though she's been she knew that he was around the whole time.
Right. Because she sometimes reacted to some of the things he said
it's
or
dumb. But
whatever.
The worst part is that he exists physically. So now his family have to deal with the fact that there is actually a corpse of their son.
And then now but then he just goes up into the light immediately.
I forgot he goes up into the light.
Yeah, he doesn't even say anything to his parents. He just says something to Gwen, and then he fucking ascends into the afterlife.
Doesn't he mouth "I love you"?
I don't think so.
Or she mouth "I love you"?
I don't think so.
It's so and I don't know if this was before or after, but then at the funeral, the father.
Oh, this was before.
Yeah,
it's just sings a fucking song.
It's they're having a funeral and it's sad and whatever. And
an abusive father man who Eugene's mom lied about, and is like, oh, he's off in America doing corporate thing, and he's just a fucking asshole. He's just down the road, essentially.
Yeah. And, he bursts into song.
Yeah, regretful for all his words and deeds.
Yeah, his words
for
and
being
actions.
A fucking dick ball.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do. It's there in the Constitution. As long as you sing a sad song at the funeral, all sins are forgiven.
It's true.
Yep. I'm very much versed in Christianity, Kitty. I believe that's how it works.
I think that's Catholicism.
Was it?
No, I'm just...
Oh, fuck, I don't know. Never mind. That's a bad bit.
It's fine.
So this episode, and we gave it to you in chronological order. Otherwise, it's this mess of misremembering
right,
things.
So as Gwen goes to his workplace, he's like, oh yeah, I remember, at this workplace, this is when that happened.
Fuckboy Eugene, yeah, he likes to get me the copies, fuckboy Eugene.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I like about this episode, and this is kind of a meta sitcom kind of thing, is that because this is a TV show and we have only so many actors, basically everyone you meet ends up being pivotal to the plot later on. Like the random guy
even
at
the fucking waitress.
Yeah, even the fucking waitress. The people you meet, it's one of those things, if you watch a fucking crime show, and it's someone got murdered at this office, let's go talk to the boss, and then talk to this coworker, and then we have no other new characters being introduced.
One of them did it.
Let me tell you, one of them fucking did it.
Yeah.
And I know that that's a meta thing, but it makes it predictable to me, and I feel like the way to not make that predictable is to kind of play with it, to do something
different.
And this show again has that Goosebumps escalation where these friends, and then we learned that the friends weren't even friends. They were just wanting to get the eye off of Eugene so they could sell it again.
So because one of the high bids actually was real, wasn't either of them, because they were basically bidding war it up until the second to last one, where they were like, oh shit, somebody actually wants it. So they slightly outbid it and won.
And maybe you've already realized this, dear listener, but there's no fucking Torchwood in this episode.
Yeah, no.
This is a random episode of some other fucking show that happens to feature Gwen from the Devil May Cry franchise.
Exactly.
And it's just it's nothing.
It's so dumb.
And it's so weird because Gwen is married.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry.
Whoa, not yet.
Whoa.
She's not even engaged yet.
Yeah. She doesn't marry Jack until the next season.
Wink.
That's a joke. That's not true. Reese doesn't deserve that.
Yeah.
But she has a boyfriend, and she's cheating on him with Owen. She's got a lot of stuff on her mind.
She just needs to think about fuckboy Eugene that she met twice.
She's got a lot of things going down there with her lady parts. So, she doesn't have time for fuckboy Eugene, who is a ghost. Also, fuck a ghost. Ghosts are a bunch of fucking little bitches. Fuck a ghosts. Yeah. Ghosts are lame. That's the Dango Duo stance.
That's Max's stance.
Fuck a ghost. Ghosts are lame.
I like
ghosts
the idea
ever
of ghosts.
achieved anything?
I don't know. I like the idea of ghosts.
See, I like the idea of ghosts, but ghosts, as they have been presented to us through pop culture and fiction and mythology, are fucking lame.
See, that's fair.
It's fucking lame. They're just little creeps watching you sleep.
Mm-hmm. Like fuckboy Eugene.
Like fuckboy Eugene. In case you're wondering why the two most fuckboyish names are Eugene and Adam, now you know.
It's Doctor Who and Torchwood. Episode 10, Out of Time, written by Catherine Tregina, which originally premiered December 17th, 2006.
Tregina evolves into Tregadon. At level 39.
Tregadomus.
So hey guys.
Talking about episodes about people that don't matter.
Yeah, so I was gonna do the whole bit from the previous episode again. It's like, hey guys, what's the one thing you know that I... welcome to an episode about fucking people who don't fucking matter. And I know one of them comes back later. But still, two-thirds...
Not really.
She comes back as a ghost, Kitty. As a time ghost.
I guess that's fair.
But, 2/3 of this episode don't matter. And this episode has the problem where... Oh no. I'm vibrating in my seat. Where we have a character who doesn't want to live anymore, and we come to understanding that not wanting to live is a perfectly good option. Which is fucked up and bad.
It's a little much.
It's bad. It's a bad take.
We actually completely disagree on this. I like this episode. I like... Yeah, you can let me stew in my own...
No, okay. Well, hold up. Let me hold your hand, because I love you. Guys, your hand is warm, or I'm cold.
You're cold.
We can disagree.
We can disagree. I like this episode not because of the random characters introduced, but because of their impact on our main characters. Because of the way that they challenge some of their ideas and thoughts. That's why I like this episode.
That's fair.
I like that the young girl that Gwen essentially takes care of kind of shows Gwen her own, what's the word that I'm looking for? Her own perception of, how this young girl is supposed to behave or act, and, how she wants to act.
Yeah.
And how she, Gwen is like, you shouldn't do that, everything is so big and scary now, but this young girl, finds inspiration and hope in in a place that she was terrified of at the beginning of this episode. It also challenges Jack. That one's the most unfortunate plot line, in that, Jack is like, yeah, there's so much worth living, but this guy really does want to kill himself. Suicide trigger warning.
Yeah.
The guy ends up killing himself. But it does challenge, Jack's view of, maybe we should help him.
Yeah.
And it's not in a good way, because Jack ends up letting him kill himself, and he's there with him. That's his, compromise.
Yeah.
And it also, let's talk about the big one that's going to have implications all the way through season 2.
Yes.
Owen gets a sexy pilot girlfriend.
Also, we don't really ever, we stopped talking about Owen and Wen fucking.
Yeah, it ends here pretty much.
Yeah, but we don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it, no.
And that's not good writing.
It kind of just drops,
They just kind of drop it, and we don't talk about why they stopped doing that.
Yeah.
And
I think there was a throwaway line that when was we had to end it or whatever.
Throwaway
is not a good.
That's not good.
Yeah, but I do like that it also challenges Owen in this episode, and he finds someone that he actually connects with on more than just a sexual level. Essentially, he finds someone that he connects with emotionally, that he wants to help.
Yeah,
and she, of course, nobody in this episode has to, stay here because we can't afford more cast members.
Yeah.
So she tries to fly back into the rift, essentially.
Maybe we should actually talk about what this episode was about first.
3 random people come in from the 20s, 10s?
No, it was 50s.
50s?
I don't know. No, it was 1930.
Yeah.
So 3 random people show up in an airplane from 1930 something.
Through the rift.
And Torchwood now has to help them
adjust to living in the 21st century.
Yep. And one of them is a female pilot. One of them is a
young girl.
Is a young girl and a family man.
Yep.
And all of which realize that their family and the people that they knew
and loved are all dead, pretty much. Yep.
except for the family man who gets to learn that his son is an old man
who has
Alzheimer's
or dementia.
Yeah.
I forget. And basically, didn't have any other children, so that's the end of his line, his family line. I'm using quotation fingers here.
So yeah. Okay, real talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I hate this episode. It's just that I feel that it kind of...
There's a lot it does wrong, but there's some it does right.
I like that Owen has basically a character that threatens the status quo for him, and he changes as part of that. I like that. I like that.
It could directly sets up the consequences of next episode of his,
I get... One of the things I don't like about this episode is that it's kind of like a reverse Back to the Future kind of thing, where a chunk, basically the first third of this episode is just jokes about how things are different. It's
yo, she's not wearing anything on this magazine.
Like, oh my god, look, this box here has a movie in it. You can go to the movies for just this.
Yeah,
it's like,
oh look, can I buy all this candy? My parents never let me have candy.
It's very it's funny because the joke is that they're from
the 30s
the past,
or whatever.
and it's the future now.
Yeah,
isn't that funny? And also this episode features very little Torchwood. I think that Jack and Toshko have one line each.
Yeah, no, Yanto has no lines.
I don't think. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Oh no, he takes them to the fucking supermarket, and that's his moment. Toshko gets nothing.
I really feel that Torchwood as an organization would probably have a whole HR department in charge of things like this.
Well, and Torchwood is kind of just...
Is it really 3? Just 5 people in a building?
Basically, now it is, because
that's dumb.
The rest of Torchwood imploded.
Yeah, but there's still the other fucking... No,
it's shut down.
See, that isn't clear?
Yeah, it's not clear, but it's basically after the Battle of Canary Wharf. Torchwood 1 and 2 got shut down, essentially, so it's only Torchwood 3.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
And it's literally only running because Jack is there waiting for the doctor.
And I guess, listen, let me just take a deep breath. The reason why... this episode doesn't matter. Let's just... Aside from
Owen's
it doesn't matter.
Girlfriend.
And... This much like watching over children. This is an episode where you're watching people who are trying to self-destruct, and I'm just like
one who is literally
and that young girl. Every time she was on the screen, I'm like, oh my god, she's gonna say something dumb or do something dumb, or she's gonna
make out with the wrong boy.
I don't know why Wen thought of taking her to the club.
Yeah, that was the worst idea.
That's
possible.
Probably the stupidest thing she could have possibly done, and it's just one of those things where I see this young, impressionable, very pure young woman. And I'm like, she's gonna fucking self-destruct eventually. And then you have older family man who wants to self-destruct. So that
he's trying to conform everyone around him to fit his standards while also self-destructing.
Yeah. And that made this episode a little bit hard to watch.
Yeah.
One, because of the uncomfortable nature of family man's plot, but also because of the cringy nature of the young girl's plot.
Yeah.
When she's talking to the hip
black girls who are also living in Torchwood's
same,
hostel, essentially.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I was
I'm more interested in those girls than anything that was happening in this episode.
I was wrinkling my pant legs, just fucking trying not to cringe very badly with those exchanges, because I'm just please,
please, no.
Spare me. I can't deal with cringe. Yeah. So this episode was hard for me, and then we have the whole plot. Sorry, I'm just thinking about the fact that we have old white man from the past come into the future, and I swear to God, if there had been one black person next to him, he would have come out with some racist ass fucking shit. Because. And they hint at this a little bit, because the guy talking about the good old days, back when things were different, and
he gets mad at the young girl for socializing with the black girls, not necessarily because they're black, but because she's from a different time, essentially, which could instrue racist undertones, or it could also just be his protective dad nature.
It's just kind of like a minefield.
Yeah.
And it's just it's hard to navigate through that, and for me
with grace. It's hard with grace, and this episode trips a lot.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's do you think that Family Man and Jack would have bonded as well as they did if Family Man knew that Jack was omnisexual, do you think he would have bonded as well?
Probably not,
because
he views him as like as another older kind of gentleman, essentially.
It's a kind of like
from his own
anchor
time
in this new timeline. So throughout this episode, Gwen is fucking pilot lady, innocent.
Owen is fucking pilot lady.
What did I say? Gwen. That would have been way better.
Yeah.
So Gwen is fucking the pilot lady, and Owen is teaching the young girl how to be cool and hip in the 21st century. And then old family man learns that his son has Alzheimer's or dementia. We forget which one. Apologies. We have a very nice emotional moment, and I'm sure that there were many people who were crying during that.
Yep.
That's definitely the thing. Like, if you're a parent, watching that would have probably been kryptonite, and that's fine. It's emotional and it's emotionally driven, and I commend that. It was a very emotional. It was a nice emotional payoff. Unfortunately, this leads to family man wanting to commit suicide, and the show
and Jack
kinda,
just lets him.
Jack tries to stop him first,
and then
after hearing the explanation, he kind of goes, I
guess you have nothing to live for.
We don't have the budget to have you come back again, so we can only bring one person back. And I do kind of hate that young girl just kind of like
gets on the bus.
She goes to London, and then
I would love if they if just one little scene in season 2, she got a postcard from her. That's all I wanted. I wanted to know young girl was living her life in London, being a fashion stylist. That's all I wanted.
So I feel like I've touched on this before, but I definitely feel that the two weaknesses of Torchwood and Doctor Who in general is a lack of character development and also a very flimsy continuity. It really doesn't feel like the episodes are connected.
Especially beyond a season.
A season, yeah. I'm like imagine if in season 2 we had gotten a postcard, from this girl that she was doing fine. Wouldn't that have been fucking mind blowing? Yeah. It's kind of like the one throwaway line in season 2 that explains why Toshko
showed up in Doctor Who season 1.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that makes me feel as though these things actually happen in the same universe. But then we have Saxon, and aliens continue to show up in London,
and nobody's like...
But nobody's like... No, but everybody's like, it's just a conspiracy, man.
Yeah.
Aliens are not real, except for that one time they killed, everyone. And and remember that time ghosts were around for 6 months?
Fucking...
And remember how we all voted for Saxon anyhow?
And then he killed the...
remember
when an alien assassinated the president on live television?
That is the most egregious one.
Oh, that one.
We'll talk about season 3 later.
Yeah.
That is so egregious. That is so...
Yeah, nobody talks about that.
Okay, real talk though. Okay? That's fucking bad writing. That is actually atrocious writing, where you have this thing that clearly everyone will remember, but then the plot... Because the episodes are disposable, and they're not supposed to matter, we just kind of go... Remember when the President of the United States of America was murdered on live TV by the fucking British Prime Minister?
Well, I think it was by an alien, but then...
By the British
alien,
Prime Minister.
Quote unquote.
Like that wouldn't lead to a fucking all-out war between fucking the US and Britain.
Yeah. Anyway. Season 3.
That's season 3. Anything else you want to say about fucking ghosts from the past don't matter? Okay. Because I realize that I'm being Max. There's things that I really don't like about this episode, but it's not the most... I would rather watch this again than watch Random Shoes.
100%. Random Shoes is the worst episode of the season.
And I will say, for sure, that probably my favorite third of this episode was all the things that had to do with Pilot Girl.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't only... she's interesting, she is a foil to Owen, and she also serves to... subvert our expectations of what
women were like. Yeah. Whereas young girl, fulfills those expectations. Pilot girl defies them essentially
and revels in them. And you know, and this whole sentiment that is she can be a woman and a pilot, and this is not contradictory. This is this
she can have casual sex without it, being committed to a marriage.
Yeah, absolutely, ahead of her time and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's really good. And the stuff with her and Owen was fantastic.
Yeah, they have chemistry.
Yeah.
Which is surprising for a one-off character.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's why she comes back.
Maybe that's why she gets to come back as a ghost.
Anything else you want to say?
Let's keep going. Episode 11, Combat, written by our boy, Noel Clarke, which originally aired December 24th, 2006. Merry Christmas Eve.
Hey, kitty, who's Noel Clarke?
That's Mickey!
Mickey!
Mickey wrote an episode of Doctor Who. Torchwood.
Torchwood. It's the
Same fucking difference.
This episode involves an underground fighting ring
Against weevils.
Against weevils.
And Owen...
We're big... it's basically like Fight Club, but it's all like suit men.
Yeah.
Like rich men who basically...
who want that adrenaline.
Yeah, who want the adrenaline rush.
Of almost dying to a
almost
weevil.
dying.
And Owen gets caught up in it. He's very grief-stricken about pilot girlfriend leaving him.
Yep.
For the time rift.
And he decides to go undercover to find out what's going on in this ring. And
then he fights a weevil.
Yep.
And it doesn't go well.
Listen.
You should not fight a weevil.
Listen, his dump stat was fucking strength.
Int.
And it showed... No, well, as a doctor, I feel like you really
you're right.
need it.
Wisdom.
That's so fucking true. It's so sad. It's so sad. Never dump wisdom.
Yeah,
seriously.
you can dump int. You can not know how to read, but as long as you have some sort of common sense
and self-awareness, I feel like you're absolutely better off.
Yeah, it's true.
Dango Duo says, drop out of school.
No, don't drop out.
But be self-aware.
Well, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's fair.
That's right. Yeah.
You don't have to go to college.
And then get buff as fuck.
Yeah.
Just like us with our 20-inch arms.
I mean, like, I got muscles, so speak for yourself.
We all have muscles, baby.
I have... You know what I mean, though.
Yeah, I know, she's got guns.
I got guns.
Yeah, yep. A 9mm.
I got thick calves, too.
Magnum.
Yep.
Beretta.
9mm Beretta.
So, what did you think of the episode written by our boy Mickey?
I like it, honestly. I like our villain for this episode. He has a lot of character. I don't know if it's just his actor or the way he's written.
I think it's a combination of both, because that actor really sold me on the concept. And okay. And I feel like this is something that we, like, literally yesterday were talking about. Because yesterday we watched the Doctor Who Season 4 episode about the Centaurians.
Yes.
Centaurians? Centaurians? I don't know. Yeah. The potato people. And I really liked that episode because we had an antagonist with an actual personality for the first time ever in Doctor Who history. Because previous antagonist is like, that's a metal box that hates humanity. And that's another metal box that hates humanity. Which one's the Daleks?
You'll never know unless you look at them.
So I like this episode because our antagonist is not just a murderous psychopath in a metal box.
Yeah.
Like
he is a human being.
We think that he's that.
Yeah.
And the episode is very tense in that for a while you think that he's that. But when he has the chance to, hurt Owen, he doesn't.
He invites him in,
He invites him into this world of underground weevil fighting.
And I think you can see it in that Owen is like, he goes to the bar with Owen at one point, and Owen, from an earlier interaction of the bar, like, basically some dudes end up picking a fight with him. Yeah. And he kind of sees that anger in Owen and that frustration, and he kind of taps into that, and he's like, I know how you're feeling, buddy. Let me show you how you can vent some of that anger. And it basically takes him to Weevil Fight Club. Yeah.
It's different than how I feel about the Centaurians. Because, like, an antagonist who actually has their own sense of morality is super interesting.
Yeah.
But the antagonist in this episode is not that.
He's not quite that complex.
It's not that complex, but he definitely has a way that he feels about the world. Mm-hmm. And that is the compass by which he guides himself.
Exactly.
And I like that in an antagonist because it's a level of depth completely unseen in a world where that's a metal box that wants to kill you. Let's be entirely honest here. Yeah. I'm sorry if you grew up watching Doctor Who.
Classic Who.
I'm sorry if you had nightmares about the Daleks the first time you saw them, and then you thought, well, I just gotta climb up the stairs and I'll be safe.
And then they invented hover Daleks.
Like, all I gotta say is just that an antagonist who actually has a personality is leaps and bounds. That's the police outside. They hate our taste.
Well, we hate them. So.
Yeah, well, I hate them, so, we're gonna get our guns out.
We don't have any guns.
What about these?
It's my fist.
I was holding her arms.
That was the mail.
The mail better have delivered my package today, otherwise I'm gonna fucking
lose your shit.
I'm gonna lose my shit. 'Cause they have one job! Anyhow. So, I like this episode. There was a little bit of, like, maybe, I don't know, tell me, did you feel the sexual tension between Owen and antagonist?
Oh, yes. Because that man does not look straight.
No. And also, I mean, Owen. But, like, I feel like there could have been a scene where, like, we fade from black, and then they're both in bed and they're dressing, like, putting their shirts back on.
Oh, 100%. I wouldn't have blinked an eye, essentially.
Their interplay, their chemistry, it felt very, very
good,
intimate.
natural.
And I feel like that's what added to the antagonist.
Mm-hmm. Because he wasn't just a one-note, I'm going to start a fight club but against a bunch of weevils.
Yeah. I watched the movie Fight Club, and and
then I discovered what weevils are, and now...
Yeah, and that's been my one deciding factor in my personality.
And I like that he's much more nuanced than that. I forget what he says. It's basically like talking about how society like expects him, to live kind of this boring, mundane life, and how he's been searching for something to actually get the adrenaline up, to actually like feel something, essentially, because he's stuck in this corporate world, which has made him rich, but at what cost, essentially.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and I really like that.
And I do gotta say, because someone out there can sense this. But Max, doesn't this episode sound like it could just be the ultimate male Fight Club fantasy with tons of toxic masculinity put in there? This episode manages to curve that.
Because everyone fucking dies.
But more than that, like the language that was used when talking about this, there's a can of worms here. But it's just like the language. Then okay, all right,
open it up.
I'm
crack
open a cold one. Okay. The language that toxic masculinity uses to bolster themselves is language used to put down women. Yeah,
usually.
And it's like
don't be a pussy.
Yeah, exactly. And there is none of that language in this episode. There's at least none that I immediately remember at this moment. I'm not gonna give this a pass, but this episode could have been the grossest, the most toxic masculinity. My entire personality is from watching the movie Fight Club kind of thing, and it doesn't do that. There's a lot more depth to that.
And nuance, yeah.
And nuance to that. And I really appreciate it, because it really
could have gone there. And it is still a very male-centric episode.
It is definitely
There's not really a lot of female characters who get to do anything.
Yeah.
But it subverts that kind of male fantasy.
Yeah. The misogyny is very much like nowhere to be seen today.
Also, because Owen gets beat the fuck up.
Yeah.
He's like our vehicle in the main cast of like toxic male masculinity. And he's in the cast at one point at the end of this episode, like...
And his fight with the Weebles didn't go very well, let's just call it that. But it's just... I guess what I liked is that this show really committed to the theme of, like, this is about fighting. This is not about
being a man.
About projecting your authority and
dominating the lesser species.
And dominating the lesser species. This is just about feeling alive through fighting, because that's what we as organisms did for millions of years before we built all these spires of concrete and put on suits and ties and told each other that we could not, or we decided that we no longer needed to fight to survive. And that was the theme throughout the episode, and I like that because it managed to curve away the toxic masculinity that is evident in things like Fight Club.
Yeah, exactly. That's why even the creator of Fight Club says when that's your favorite movie, that's somebody's favorite movie, you should be very cautious of them.
Yeah, exactly. Liking the movie Fight Club is not a replacement for having a personality.
Amen. Noel Clarke did a good job.
He actually did a fantastic job. And it was funny because, we didn't know that he wrote the episode until after.
Yeah, apparently I didn't read, who wrote the episode when we were watching it, so...
Dango WHO, apparently I didn't read.
Yeah. That can be said about a lot of things.
So, pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good episode.
Anything else you want to say about combat?
No. We'll talk about this in the next episode, but Owen is magically better by the next episode, and I wish that was not the case.
I really feel like Owen, because he has his arm in not a cast, but a sling, right?
A sling, yeah.
And in this episode, he gets his face slashed.
Yeah.
And I feel like he just needed to have a scar on his face.
Scar.
Or a bandage on his forehead, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that continuity-wise, again, one of the things that I feel that Doctor Who and Torchwood kind of fail at. It doesn't...
It falters a little.
It falters,
But that's not this episode's fault. That's the next episode's fault, I guess. Episode 12, Captain Jack Harkness, written by Catherine Tregenna. Again, I'm sorry. Which originally premiered January 4th, 2007. A new year. Best episode. This is the best season 1 episode.
This is, maybe even season 2, because season 2's got, ups and downs.
Mostly downs.
It's got peaks and very, very low valleys. Captain Jack Harkness. This episode succeeds on many grounds.
Mm-hmm. Let's just tell you about it first.
But let's just tell you about it first. So
there's a hospital. No, it's like a dance hall. It's an old hall, essentially.
We will go to that hospital.
That's the next season. Wrong out of time story. Where basically they've been getting signals of like rift activity.
Yeah.
So Tosh and Jack go to investigate it and accidentally get stuck in the 1940s.
Yeah, it's during the Blitz.
It's right during the Cardiff Blitz.
Make sure to check your bingo table for like Doctor Who / Torchwood. Is it happening during
the Blitz?
The Blitz? Like 1944. Anyhow.
Yeah, right around there.
So. Immediately, some of you your eyebrows are probably all the way up to your scalp because you're like, wait, Tosh and Jack are back in time in the year 1944. Toshiko being a Japanese woman?
Yeah.
I was like, racism alert! And for the most part...
Not as much. Just a little bit.
There's just a tiny
little dash of racism.
A little dash of... See, I kept misremembering.
You were confusing it with Human Nature Family of Blood.
Human Nature Family, the family of the blood, of the five armies, which are...
Season 3 episodes.
The shittiest, most stupid, and most fucked up episodes of Doctor Who that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
An absolute waste of time. But we will talk about them once we get there.
On the next full podcast
episode.
Anyway, so they get stuck. And they're trying to send a message of how to get them back. Tosh goes, trying to send a message through time, essentially. And we have this creepy caretaker, essentially, who keeps showing up in the past and in the present.
Yep.
And you're like, how the fuck? So eventually, we meet up with the real Captain Jack Harkness.
Because remember that Jack, as we first met him in Doctor Who Season 1.
Yep, the empty child, the Doctor dances.
And I don't know if we learned that there, but like we have learned
that
throughout the story.
Man.
Yeah, he's a con man, and that he's not actually Captain Jack Harkness.
That is his name that he took when he basically had that con going in the Doctor dances, the empty child.
Yeah, exactly. So this episode succeeds for me because it told me more about a character that I wanted to know about. I got to learn more about Jack, and I assumed okay, well, he's not Captain Jack Harkness. Or like actually when the episode first began, I thought, are we gonna run into Jack from back in the past? And no, we ran into the real Captain Jack Harkness.
Yeah.
And this plot thread is the coolest, most emotionally rewarding version of this plotline that it could have possibly fucking been.
Yes.
But it's not just, that's the guy that I stole the name of later on. It's actually emotionally rewarding. It's impactful. It's incredibly ahead of its time. God, is it good.
Oh, it's so good. So basically, Jack takes the name of this young army leader because he is going to die the next day.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, I can just, slot myself in. The Jack from the past, which is super the past.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he ends up essentially taking this man's name and rank because that's the easiest way to get into his con that he was doing back in the day. So we get to have the emotional impact of Jack knowing that this man is about to die. Like literally within 24 hours, this man's going to lose his life, and the struggles that he faces as a captain, as a human being, as someone who has like this girl who he kind of likes but doesn't, feel super attached to. How do I say goodbye to her, even though I'm just going out for a training mission tomorrow?
Yeah.
Jack tells him, you gotta like live every moment like it's your last.
Like it's your last, yeah.
Which actually emotionally like pays off even more because, he goes up to the girl that he kind of likes and, says his goodbyes. He's like, I just made it worse. And when, and later you actually learn that he is bi, gay. It's not super explained. But...
You learn that the real Captain Jack Harkness is actually queer.
Yes, exactly, and ends up kissing our Jack Harkness in a emotionally climactic, like amazing
scene at the end.
It's good.
Once we fix the problem with time, it's fine.
Yeah.
And Toshiko manages to get a message out to the future,
and they can open the rift so they can come back through.
Yeah. The dance resumes in the past.
Yeah.
And one of the boys that we learn gets a dance with Toshiko. But then
Real Captain Jack Harkness.
Real Jack Harkness.
Comes up to our Jack Harkness.
And asks him to dance.
Yeah.
And they dance.
Kiss.
And they kiss.
As the rift is opening and Tasha's like, we have to go. Captain Jack our Jack turns towards the rift. And then he turns back. And he goes back to real Jack. And gives him a big old smooch as the white light of the rift opening is behind them. And they're making out. And all the, 40s people around are like, yo.
And, there's this crescendo. And this is the most emotionally rewarding moment in the entire season. And Jesus Christ, can you believe this came out in
2007?
The first day of 2007? New Year's 2007?
I think it's 2004. It's January 4th, but either way.
But still.
Yeah.
It's
great.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I can't believe that this exists. And I had seen GIFs, and this is probably the only time so far where actually watching the moment happen was way more impactful than I thought it would be from the GIFs. Mm-hmm. The music swells up, and the emotion and the performance between both of them, like, you can really tell
throughout the whole episode, their chemistry builds and builds and builds.
Yeah, I know,
and it finally culminates in that moment where they just kiss.
Yeah, the direction between both of the Jacks is
really good.
This is fucking great.
This is a great episode, and even like the bit of racism, like, immediately gets shut down essentially by like. It's just this one racist lady, and all the army, soldiers who are there are like, yo, shut up. She's smart. Yeah. She's cool with us, basically, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. And if only that's the way it would have been in the family of the blood.
And
the human nature. If only we could have been as lucky as to have had someone in a position of power to come in and defend the minority. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
Don't worry. Martha Jones gets a complete character arc in the next season.
That has nothing to do with her race.
That has nothing to do with race.
Yeah.
The more time that passes, my anger grows. And it's not just because we live in the future of the past and we're catching up with the timeline. Mm-hmm. It's just, I've always hated this shit. Mm-hmm. It's just now, I hate it just a little bit more. Mm-hmm. A little bit more.
It's a little extra hurtful.
It's just... I guess one of the things that this reminds me of is that some people feel the necessity, the requirement, that if a story is taking place in the past, everyone has to be racist.
Or at least you have to talk about people being racist.
No.
You have to show people being racist.
You have to have disenfranchised minorities be discriminated against, because that was the style at the time.
Yeah.
And I this is not to excuse the reality of those times. Yeah. But I do feel that it's a little bit short-sighted, that this has to happen every time. Yeah. There is no possible way. Everyone else in that room was not okay with Toshiko being discriminated, but this one lady had to. Mm-hmm. That one lady couldn't read the fucking room? Mm-hmm. That's the part that I find unbelievable. That and the writer felt that we have to show racism, otherwise it's not the old-timey times.
Yeah, and it feels a little more excusable here than in, obviously, The Family of Blood and Human Nature, because it's one lady and then the rest of the cast speaks up and is like, yo, what the fuck? Yeah, Come on.
But again, she couldn't read the fucking room?
No. No, she's a fucking dumb lady.
To me, I mean, I don't know, because...
I'm not saying that
no.
Talking about the racism is bad.
No.
I'm saying applicable for the time period, and the minor character that they had say the line, and the fact that all the other main characters were like, yo, shut the fuck up. Yeah. I feel like, if you wanted to talk about that and bring it up in a, not a subversive, but like a subdued way, that would be the way to do it. One line, and then everyone else shuts her down.
And I do agree with you, and I do particularly like, and this is gonna sound bad because this is how fucked up the reality that we live in is, that once we have gotten that line out of the system, everyone treats Toshiko like she's a human being. Yeah. And I even like the interplay between her and the really young smart who asks her out to dance. Yeah. And I'm like, that's cute and that's sweet. And unfortunately it's cute and it's sweet because we have people treating her like a human being, unlike that shitty ass lady. Yeah. But I agree with you. Yeah. This is one way to do it.
Because it's not like you can't talk about race.
And if anything, this is actually the best way that Doctor Who
Torchwood
has handled it.
Yes.
Because, man, I wish someone had done this for Martha during the season 3.
If someone had just been like, yo, shut the fuck up, she's a human being.
Yeah.
Even if her skin color is different.
Yeah, you would think that the Doctor would have said something, but I guess not. I guess not.
He wasn't the Doctor, so.
It was fucking fuck. She was the only black person in that entire, in the entirety of Britain at that point, by the way. Or was it? I don't know.
They were in Britain.
Wherever the fuck they were. The only black woman in the entirety of this region. Thank Christ. Thank Christ. Anyhow,
we're salty about season 3, which hasn't happened yet for you guys.
It actually hasn't happened yet for you guys. It's fine. But for us, it has. Remember that all timelines are happening at the exact same time. Also, maybe someday Kitty and I will fix the Zero Escape series.
Yeah.
But if we were to fix the Zero Escape series, I think that one of the characters should have that ability that the old man has in this episode of just existing in 2 different timelines at the exact same time.
Yeah, hell yeah. Oh, that would be a spoiler. Delta. If we were to fix CTD, that would be Delta.
Would it be Delta?
Yeah. Existing in 2.
The Delta didn't exist in.
No, I know, but we would give him that ability. Is what I'm saying.
I would give it to the OC.
Oh, that's fair.
You know, because that was the thing. I don't think this is a spoiler because if you haven't played Zero Time Dilemma, you don't know what the fuck Delta is. So it's fine.
That's fair, yeah.
I don't think that's a spoiler. But it's because the way that I always envisioned the Zero Escape series to be is that each episode, the main character has a new spin on the morphogenetic field.
That's fair.
You know, we have Junpei, and no spoilers, and then you have Ziggy, and then you, of course, Carlos kind of had his own little spin on it.
Kind of.
But CTD being CTD, it's not explored, and it's kind of like loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
And that's why I very much like Junpei and Ziggy, because their abilities are kind of explained.
Yeah.
And because they're explained, they have limitations. And because of those limitations, you get to apply those abilities in cool ways that make them interesting and surprise the reader.
Yep.
But anyhow...
Anyway.
I like the antagonist being able to exist at multiple points in the timeline at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that's dope as fuck.
The caretaker will come back in the season finale, even.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I actually...
Torchwood's not very good at, setting up, 2-parters.
No, it's not.
Which is okay. It's fine. Not everything has to have 2-parters like Doctor Who.
And I definitely... I do agree that, this antagonist is definitely one of those where, the setup is more interesting than the payoff.
Yes, 100%.
Because the payoff is so nothing.
He just disappears, I'm pretty sure.
No, I think he gets stomped by...
No, I'm pretty sure he just, yeets himself, and that's it.
I thought he got stomped by the big bad boy.
I don't think he does.
Anyhow, there were moments in this episode and a bit of the next one where I was like, is this guy, evil? Or is he just,
or is he
weird?
just creepy as fuck?
He's just creepy as fuck.
It's true.
You know, is he evil, or did he just step out of the set of the Addams Family? You know, and I feel like the fact that I wasn't, I as a writer and someone who unfortunately doesn't get as invested in shows, so I look at it as a kind of story. I associate, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I looked at it and I'm like, the camera is not treating you like a villain. The direction is not making you read as a villain,
but you're creepy.
But you're creepy, you know?
Yeah.
And to me that made him interesting.
Yeah.
And again, that ability of being able to exist at multiple points in the timeline at the same time, that's dope as fuck.
Step back and forth as they're walking through a door.
No, I really like that.
It's
I
so
actually
cool.
really like that. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there anything else you want to say about Captain Jack Harkness? Probably the best episode of Torchwood Season 1.
That's so fucking good.
Honestly, legit, watch this episode all the way through, because you need to watch that build-up between the two Jacks. That emotional payoff is probably the biggest, queerest moment in all of Torchwood and Doctor Who.
Yeah, so far.
I mean,
Yanto and fucking Jack make out next season, but
it's not this. It doesn't have the same build-up, and it feels very emotional, and even though this episode was not written by Russell, I can see a lot of the Russell
you can feel
running.
his hands on it.
Yeah. I almost even wonder if he was fucking Helen? Who the fuck wrote this episode?
Catherine.
It's like, hey, Catherine, I want this scene to happen in the episode.
Make it gayer.
Can you get me there?
Yeah.
Can you, frame the episode so we can have this scene at the end? I can imagine that, but then again, it's all just in my imagination. Maybe that didn't happen at all. Maybe she came up with it, and Russell was like, "Fuck yeah!"
He's like,
"Make that happen."
Yeah.
really strong. This is the emotional queer peak in Torchwood.
It's so good.
It's very, very fucking good. And gifs, unlike previous Doctor Who moments, the gifs did not do this moment justice.
Mm-hmm.
It's stronger, more powerful, and more emotionally impactful.
Watching it,
for sure.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the season finale. Episode 13, End of Days, written by Chris Chibnall, which originally aired January 5th, 2007, the day after Captain Jack Harkness.
Oh, damn.
So it kind of was like a two-parter.
So, Kitty.
Yeah.
Could you please remind me what the fuck happened in this episode? Because all I remember is the end. All I remember is the big-dicked Minotaur monster that appears in Cardiff.
Well, what happens as a result of the last episode where Owen kind of opens up the rift to save Tosh and Jack.
Oh, that's right.
Things start bleeding through from the rift, causing, a lot of mass panic. We got the fucking plague showing up in the hospital.
That's
we got
true.
Spartans in jail.
Owen's ghost girlfriend.
Yeah, everybody has a ghost that comes back and talks to them, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Except Gwen. Does Gwen? I don't think Gwen does.
I
think it's just the old man, the caretaker, talks to Gwen.
Yeah.
But yeah, Owen sees his girlfriend. Tosh sees her mom.
Yeah, and sees
his dead girlfriend, Lisa. Yeah.
Does Jack get something?
Jack does not.
Okay.
Not that we see, because Gwen asks him at the end of the episode, "What would have convinced you to open the rift?" And he says, "The right kind of doctor."
Yes.
So basically, Owen fucked everything up. There's a big old rip in the rift.
And then the voice from beyond steps through.
Yeah, the caretaker helps bring forth the voice from beyond, which is this big evil minotaur. Not the devil, because we already talked about the devil, essentially. But it's
didn't they call him Abaddon, though?
Did they call him Abaddon?
It's just another name for the devil.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I could read the.
Yeah, whatever. Big, no-dicked Minotaur. Did not have a dick. Looked like he should have had a giant dong.
In case anyone is wondering,
Abaddon,
it's that's just another name for the devil.
Yeah.
Listen, I've played as Shin Megami Tensei, and I know all the names of the devil.
Yeah, that's fair.
Especially the penis chariot. Talking about penises, the reason why I keep bringing that up regarding Abaddon is that he reminds me of some of the bosses, of the final boss from Dante's Inferno, for the PS3. Which in that game you fight like a big bull looking Minotaur devil at the end, and he's got a huge dong that's just waggling around with like physics engine.
Yeah.
And because Dante's Inferno for the PS3 was a very edgy
hack and slash
game, and I was like, what if the final boss of this season shows up and it's like this skyscraper side Minotaur and he's got a huge dong just flapping around.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
We didn't get that.
No.
But it was weird looking at his crotch and there not being
There's
anything
nothing there. It just feels weird.
Maybe that's why he was so mad.
Yeah.
He's got no dong.
That's fair. So basically, Caretaker, convinces everyone to open the rift to fully open up the rift to kind of suck everything back in. But instead it lets out big Abaddon man, whose shadow literally steals life, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's true. That's fine.
Caretaker man, honestly don't remember. I think he just steps to the other timeline and that's it.
No,
I don't think he dies.
I remember him dying at the hands of Abaddon because that was the ironic part of it. Is like, yes, my lord, I will now be part to help you, and then the shadow gets over him and then he dies.
See, I don't remember that at all. But I remember that. I think that would have been funny if it did happen, but I don't remember.
Also, I love that in spite of the fact that this happened in Cardiff, we never talk about it.
We will never talk about it.
Also, can we address the fact that Cardiff has a population of 200,000?
Yeah, it's very
which
small.
is the population of our network of towns that we live in.
Yeah, our city, our county.
Our county is 200,000. We're living. It might even be the same size for all we know.
Yeah, maybe.
And I'm sure that we would remember if a giant, big-donged devil was walking around.
Literally stealing the life.
Yeah. I remember that, man, that really fucked up graduation. Because the shadow
really
just, went through the entire quad. And then just...
The whole graduating class.
Yeah, the class of 2007. That's the year I graduated.
Oh, Jesus.
Fuck. That's right, kids. I'm old.
Oh, shush.
Back in my day...
So anyway, the way to stop this problem is the man who cannot die, Jack Harkness.
Yeah, this is... Okay, I will admit that...
it's a little bit of a limp.
It's a little bit of a limp. I mean,
a limp ending.
Penis jokes aside. Because Torchwood is not, ready to fight a giant world-ending, penis monster.
No.
I'm just committed to that bit now.
That's fine.
Yeah, like Torchwood just doesn't have.
They don't have the
means to stop, a 30-foot dong just flapping about. Mm-hmm. They just don't have the tools. So I was watching this and I'm like, how are you gonna goosebumps this? How are you gonna goosebumps this fucking solution? And of course, since Jack can't die because Rose hacked into the game to make it, Jack the death equals false.
Yep.
So when Abaddon tries to suck the life out of him, he
just keeps sucking the life out of him, essentially. And then he kind of explodes because that's too much.
Yeah, he sucks Jack so hard that he ends up exploding.
Yeah.
And that's how we solve the problem.
Yeah. And then Jack, dies for a good solid,
I like,
day or two.
Yeah, and I like that, in order to fight him, they have to fight him, outside of the city, so it feels like it's a Power Rangers episode, where it's we have to go to the industrial district to fight him.
Because there's nobody there.
Yeah. And I'm like, I was ready. This is stupid. It would never have happened. But I was ready for Jack to, supersize Ultraman style.
And then, punch him in the face.
And then it's Jack, and he's moving all slowly.
He's wrestling with the
yeah, he's
guitar.
Punches him in the face.
Yeah.
And the demon kneels back and crashes through a cardboard building.
Yep. That didn't happen, but instead, bless John Barrowman for his acting in this.
Yeah, no,
literally looking like he gets his soul sucked out of him for 5 minutes straight.
And he gives a pretty good shriek.
Yeah. And he collapses really well too.
Yeah.
That looks uncomfortable as fuck.
Yeah, no, and I feel like he collapsed while he was kneeling. So
he was kneeling, so it's his feet are behind his back.
And it was
very convincing.
It was very convincing.
Yeah.
John I feel like maybe we'll talk about this in the last segment, but John Barrowman's acting is fucking top notch.
Yeah, it's good.
What else has he done? Because I would just want more of this beautiful man.
He the other big series that he did, he was the antagonist in Arrow, the CW show.
Really?
Yeah, he's not in it as much as you would hope, but he is, I believe, the antagonist.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah.
Because Jack is just, or John B.
Johnny B.
He's just so fucking beautiful, and
yeah.
he has so much personality to him.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a James Marsters.
Yes.
Yeah, James Marsters?
James Marsden?
No, James Marsters. The guy who plays Spike in Buffy, who's gonna show up in the next season.
Wink.
He's also, by the way, in case you're wondering, because in the next season when he shows up, he does his traditional kind of Spike, with a British accent, but I believe he's American.
No, he does his
and he's the voice. He does the Dresden Files audiobooks, and that's how I know him.
Yeah.
So it's weird seeing this
disconnect,
this duality between the man who does a very straightforward American voice, Dresden. Dresden.
No, he does an American voice in season 2.
Does he? I thought he did a British accent.
No.
Fuck, I'm full of shit. But anyhow, it's nice also seeing him in the next season. But anyhow, this episode does not end with Jack, dead, of course.
No, because he can't die.
Because he can't die. He comes back. But we get...
the greatest, ending of,
But I feel like maybe... I'm not ruining it for you.
No.
But it reminds me of the third Ninja Turtles movie, because there's like a whirlwind inside of Torchwood, and
there's
like lightning
wind
bolts and
there's
paper
not lightning
swirling.
Bolts, but
there's flashes of light.
I think so.
And it really does feel like Jack is about to be transported to feudal Japan.
You're not wrong.
But yeah, Jack comes to, and we hear what is clearly the sound of the TARDIS.
And I won't talk about that, the thing that he takes with him, but very important. But yeah, no, at the end of the episode, Yanto and the boys, and by Yanto and the boys I mean Yanto and Tosh and Gwen, and they all went out for coffee, and they were coming back with coffee, and Jack's suddenly gone, and Gwen's like, where did he go? Because after you hear the TARDIS swishing noise,
yeah,
and that's how the season ends.
And she's we get a top
panning out view of
and it's panning up the view of Torchwood Central, and then the Back to the Future theme plays.
Yeah, and that's how the season ends.
And of course, this leads straight into
the season finale for season 3 of Doctor Who.
Yeah,
which I love.
I just love there being more Jack, because I maybe this is something maybe okay. I'm gonna say something really stupid. Are you ready?
Okay, let's go.
I feel that the Doctor needs someone more than just his companion to really get better chemistry going, and that's probably what Moffat was trying to do by having a married couple. You know, Moffat was like, hey, we need really good fun interplay, that's why we're gonna have this shitty-ass married couple, right? I feel like that's... Your face is a face of delight. Kitty, your brow is tight, your lips are stretched like a clown mask. That's the face of delight. That's what you looked like when I got down on one knee and I asked you to marry me. That's exactly what it looked like.
Definitely.
So I know that,
I'm very excited for a married couple, McGee.
Yeah, absolutely. That just thinking about it, totally doesn't sound like the Doctor's the third wheel in that relationship.
He actually isn't, which is the worst part.
Really?
The husband is the fucking third wheel.
Is there like a weird thing between the oh? I love you. I love you. You're a treasure. You're the greatest thing in this world, my baby. God, you're so beautiful. God, you gave me like a psychic. A look.
A look.
Psychic look.
Look.
You gave me the look. I talk about this in my books. It's just, that's the look.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow.
We're not at Moffat yet.
God, straight people love that. Straight people love that trope of, like, of married couples cheating on each other.
To be fair, they're not married until the end of season 5.
Okay, let me back. Straight people just love cheating.
Cheating on each other, yeah.
Like, it's funny, because back when we had our project of going to our local bookstore, and we would go through the discounted book section, which we have learned that books are discounted because no one buys them.
Yeah.
We keep seeing the same trope of, like, it's a book written by a straight person. Let me guess, it's about a murder? It's about cheating? Or adultery?
Yep. Yes. The answer...
Or sexual assault, but and then you find the books that are all of those things at the same time, and I'm like, wow, how could you come up with
How could you manage this?
How did you manage to write this whole book? No wonder that it's 90% off.
Vomiting.
That's why we stopped buying books from that section, because
and then we just went to the queer section.
All of them were bad.
Well, yeah.
You're thinking of Alice Is Not Dead, because we bought it on that same trip, but that one was in the used book section. It was not in the discounted book section. I swear
it was in the discounted book
section. No,
section.
You're thinking of the Disaster Artist.
I might be.
Yeah,
that one was alright. That was the most alright sale book we got.
Compared to the rest of the shit we read, that one, it was good. It was just, unfortunately, just toxic male masculinity being all over that book.
Mm-hmm.
And the parts where,
Greg Sestero,
thank you. Starts fictionalizing the backstory for Tommy.
Yeah,
that's the part where I'm just like, you kind of lost me there. Yeah. Like he really fictionalizes, like, where Tommy comes from.
Yeah,
and I'm like, but you're saying those things as though they're facts, so why not just say those things?
Right.
I don't know. It feels bad, man. It feels bad.
It feels bad, man.
But anyhow, we're not talking about
Disaster Artist or books or Moffat Who even. Oh my god, I just remembered that Moffat has his 2-parter in season 4 that we're gonna get to, where he introduces fucking River Song.
This early already?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. I know very little about River Song.
The less you know, the better.
But all I know about her is bad. So, there you go. Yeah, isn't that great? It's like instead of having things I'm looking forward to for Doctor Who, there's things that I'm looking not forward to at all.
Well, listen, we have the Valley of Low that is 11th and 12th Doctor, but hopefully 13th Doctor will bring us back up.
So okay, tell me, I can cut this. I can cut this if you don't want it.
Alrighty.
Because I was thinking, now that we're doing these kind of like long-form projects and we're not, doing one new video every single day, maybe 10 years from now, once we're done with Doctor Who, maybe we can actually watch, I want to go through stuff that we have never finished and just go through all of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like what?
I'm thinking something that we could do later on for this is that I would really like to maybe touch on Steven Universe, actually.
Oh, hell yeah.
We only watched like the first season. We only watched the
first and a bit.
And it's done now.
It is finished now.
So I would actually love to touch that, 10 years from now once we're done with Doctor Who.
You know what? You know what I want you to watch.
What is it that you want me to watch? Oh.
We could do a podcast on that. It's only 4 or 5 seasons. And 2 of them are short because it was during the writer's strike.
Why does it feel like Lost is way longer than that?
I know. It just feels like it. It isn't, though. It's actually kind of short, especially in comparison to Doctor Who.
But American shows are like 24 episodes a season.
That's what I said. Some of the seasons are shorter because that was during the writer's strike.
Yeah, but that's like the equivalent of 2 Doctor Who seasons.
Yeah.
Although they're shorter episodes.
No, I think they're like 42 minutes, give or take.
Hey guys, would you like us to
do Lost?
Or Steven Universe first? Or the very cursed thing we're thinking of doing where we read Homestuck. All of Homestuck. Because it's not... Wait, it's not. Yeah, never mind. Taking that off the table.
Homestuck 2's coming, so we can't read Homestuck 1 now.
Nothing makes me more unexcited about any franchise than knowing that it's
not done.
It's undone.
Yeah. Yep. There's a sequel coming, so, you know.
Yeah.
It's not finished.
So soon it will be like Homestuck all over conventions all over again.
When we have conventions again.
After the war.
After the war, I went back to New York.
After the war, I went back to New York.
When's that coming out? In July?
Yeah, it's July 7th, I think. By then it'll probably be out by the time this comes out. Because it's going to take me a while to edit all these episodes, let me tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get out of here and just go over overall feelings.
Okay. So Max, my love, a recap of season 1. What did you think overall? Now that we've talked about each episode individually, because we kind of did a recap before, but now we've gone into the nitty-gritty of each episode.
I think that if Torchwood set out to be a more adult, sexier and queerer version of Doctor Who, it achieved that.
Mm-hmm.
There is definitely valleys here.
Oh,
there are episodes here that are just not very good, let's be entirely honest. Small Worlds is a page 1 rewrite.
Random Shoes can kiss my ass.
I'm okay with Out of Time. Out of Time is fine, but Random Shoes is literally entirely pointless. Like, and it's just like Love and Monsters, where like I actually would have rather the season be 12 episodes and not have Random Shoes.
Yeah, 100%.
But then there's peaks, right? Day 1, Cyberwoman, Countryside, Geeks Bearing Gifts, Captain Jack Harkness, End of Days.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and, you know, there's some episodes that, you know...
right in the middle there.
Yeah, right in the middle there. You know, and Combat's also very good.
Yeah.
But these are really good episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because, I mean, maybe in a way it's the luster of Doctor Who kind of like fading a little bit as we get used to it.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, you know, episodes I feel like 3 has very few really good episodes. And
it has, like, none.
And the rest of them are either bad or okay.
Mm-hmm.
But this first season of Torchwood is, like, really fucking strong.
It's a very strong... And I remember I sold this to you, or I warned you before we watched Torchwood, is like, this is a more mature, sexier version of Doctor Who. It's not going to have the exact same, like, expectations of a Doctor Who episode.
Yeah, and the same kind of pacing of a Doctor Who episode.
Exactly.
Where, you know, a Doctor Who episode is usually like something's happening, and then we learn how aliens are, you know, responsible for it, and then we defeat and we solve the problem.
Yep.
That's the format of every Doctor Who episode.
Pretty much, yeah.
And Torchwood is different because it has more interplay between, you know, its cast of like 5 to 6 characters.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to learn people. You have, you know, sometimes a whodunit. You have a mystery, and aliens are not always involved, and it's definitely refreshing, and it definitely feels like it's not an American show, but it has that kind of American edge.
It will eventually be an American show.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hilarious, but...
But definitely the strong episodes in this show are fucking strong.
Yeah.
Like, Captain Jack Harkness, like, you know, for my queer little heart, is fucking amazing, you know? Mm-hmm. You were tearing up.
Oh my god, I almost cried.
You know, and I have no heart, and I must scream. But, like, I was there. I was there.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking, you know, Countrycide. An episode that is so intense, and it has no magic in it, and no aliens in it. And it has, aside from all those great things, Countrycide has given me my one single most favorite moment in all of Doctor Who, which is Captain Jack Harkness hopping out of a car with the gun, just fixing the problem.
Shotgun, fixing the problem.
Ka-thung,
Yep, and then pulling out his little pistol.
And then pulling out his little baby pistol. But like,
just not a comment on his penis.
That right there, that right there is my favorite moment in Torchwood, and also in Doctor Who so far, because it's just, and I'm not saying it because I think the rest of it is bad, but it's just because that was a very cathartic moment
after an incredibly tense episode. It's that climax that you need after something that intense.
Yeah, and I really like it as the complete opposite of how the Doctor fixes the problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Literally, the episode we were watching last night is the Doctor like, I hate guns.
Yeah.
And here we have Captain Jack Harkness fixing the problem with a gun.
I really like that. And again, we have, Greeks bearing gifts, which is like fucking Toshko gets a lesbian girlfriend, and that's fucking great. We have the incredibly sexual nature of Day One, and that's like the peak of sexual Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And sexual Torchwood. And there's just a lot of really good stuff here. But I try to be as objective as possible, and within my own biases, of course. To be entirely honest, I'm not a machine.
No one can be completely objective.
Yeah, I'm not.
Everyone brings something to the table.
Yeah, I'm not a cyber person. I'm a human being. Like, skip Small Worlds. Like you don't have to watch Small Worlds. You don't have to watch Random Shoes.
I think everything else is fine.
And isn't that fucking ridiculous? Because when we talk about season 3 of Doctor
it's
Who,
like skip most of it.
God, like I really feel, and which sucks because it's Martha.
It's
Martha gets nothing.
Martha gets shafted.
Martha literally gets more in a different show than she does in
her own season. In her own season. Who.
And we'll talk about this in the next episode. But like, I feel that the problem with Martha's season is that she never has any moment to have any kind of character development. It's always about the Doctor's broken itty bitty little heart, or about whatever's happening with the plot. Like, there's never time for Martha to grow as a person.
No,
and that's a fucking shame, because that's the closest any person of color has ever been to being in the cast of Doctor Who. And when she gets to be there, nothing happens for her, and it's heartbreaking. But we're not talking about season 3 of Doctor Who. This is all foreshadowing for the future you who gets to watch that episode.
Yeah.
But this season, though,
we have characters of color in this season.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Also, I love Tosh.
Tosh is so
fucking good. And we only get more Tosh later on. Again, I will admit that, like, I wish there was more to her character than just
I like Owen.
I like Owen, because that unfortunately ends up grounding her to
a male character.
I feel like in this season we don't show why she likes him.
No, it's never shown. It's just the
she has a crush on him.
Yeah, and he's the last person she's kissed as of Countryside. Yeah, that's kind of like it. It's because she doesn't really have a life outside of work, so she gets attracted to somebody at work.
But I still love Tosh.
I love Tosh.
And God,
and Yanto.
And fuck, oh my God, yeah.
And it's not just because I named my cat after Yanto that you have a sentimental reaction to him.
No, see, it's weird because, like, when I'm talking about Yanto, I'm like, that also happens to be the name of our cat, but it's not like, I don't have an emotional attachment to him because he happens to share the same name, or because that was inspiration behind the way that you named our son, but rather, like, I really like him because this is a show about a secret government organization that is doing shady things in the dark. This is about Overwatch and Talon doing war crimes when they're doing space crimes. And here we have, like, this very young-looking, soft
little boy.
This poor boy
who when he gets all pouty, his face scrunches up and he gets all red.
And I love him. I love him.
So good.
He's so perfect and pure, and I'm happy that later on he gets some more joy in his life, and I really love a certain episode in season 2, even if it's more about the pterodactyl.
That part, yeah.
But there's really good stuff from my boy Yanto, and as I mentioned, 10 years ago when I recorded the first part,
it's been a little while for us, so forgive us.
I really like how we don't have a traditional toxic male masculinity character in this story.
Because Owen is able to be shown being vulnerable, being angry, but also being sad.
Yeah. And I feel like that gives this show, or that makes me care about the show a lot more than if we had, God, the kind of character that's, like, encapsulated by, like, guys like Dr. House, Dexter, around the same time period.
Yeah, 2006.
And like, I don't want to say I grew up because I didn't particularly enjoy those shows, but, like, this is coming up when I graduated from high school, back when I was still watching TV.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I watch guys like that, and I saw, here we go, time to get real. All of the guys that I hated in high school, and all the guys that I hated in college, watched those shows and thought, I want to be like Dr. House.
Yeah.
I want to be an asshole.
I like that guy.
I want
to be like him.
Yeah. I want to be that kind of guy.
More like him. Yeah.
I want to be someone who gets respect in spite of the fact that I don't think anyone
that you don't
respected-
give respect.
Yeah, and I don't think actually anybody respected Dr. House. It's just he had power over people, and
They only respected his like knowledge, but not the way that he presented it. Essentially,
and
the way that he problem solved rather than his actual demeanor.
Yeah, and I don't have to tell you about toxic masculinity, but it's just like that kind of people thrive on having authority.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of those kind of guys become cops. And the one guy that I knew that was a racist, homophobic asshole wanted to become a cop. And I don't know if he ever made it, but it's just one of those things where like...
I thought he did some sort of like security like thing. Are we talking about the same guy?
No, we're talking about another guy.
Oh, okay.
But like the one guy that I knew, and I remember, like in class, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like, and he was like, I want to be a cop. And like he said that with like
alarm bells.
Yeah, and then like between like after class, he was like, yeah, I want to be respected. And I'm like, oh god, here we go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, red flags. I'm not saying all cops are bad. No, I'm saying all cops are bad.
Yeah.
Fuck the police.
Fuck the police.
But it's just, like, and I was able to enjoy this show because I didn't have to parse through all of that language.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I really like Combat, because we didn't parse through any of that, like any of that, like, yeah, you want to make that Weeble your bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to fuck that
You want to
Weevil.
dominate that Weeble.
Yeah.
You want to show it that you're the man.
You're the boss.
And I actually like that, like, the competition with the Weebles wasn't who could defeat the Weeble, but who could last the longest.
Yeah, exactly.
It's, and
because like people were literally dying from fighting the Weevil.
So it's just like, I really like this show because I didn't have to deal with that. I didn't have to parse through that kind of language that is so evident in shows of that time.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna break the
fourth wall
meta narrative slightly.
Okay.
Compared to season 2, which we have finished, which do you prefer more, season 1 or season 2? Which do you like more?
Man, you're really asking the tough questions.
Without meta on season 2, because we're not there yet.
We're not gonna talk about season 2 for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's weird, and maybe my opinion will change once we talk about season 2.
Yeah,
but I think season 1 is even though there's not as much, there's more Yant in season 2.
Yeah, and more Tosh.
And more Tosh, and we get meaningful character development for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Including Gwen, including Jack. Jack gets so much.
Including
Reese, I know.
Reese gets to be important to the plot.
We completely forgot about Reese's, like, one moment in Combat? Out of Time? End of Days? Where Gwen retcons him so that she can confess that she's been cheating on him with Owen.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's never brought up again.
Yeah, fucking never mind. Let's not talk about that. That was a bad moment.
Yeah, don't even remember what episode that was.
But later on, Reese becomes meaningful to the plot. But it's weird because... Okay, I'll say one thing.
Mm-hmm.
In season 2, we get the origin stories for all of the main cast who haven't had their stories told.
Yeah.
And I legit feel, aside from one of them, I feel that I would have rather not known or have gotten something else. Okay, I'll say it. I kind of dislike Tosh's backstory.
That's fair.
Because it's very powerless.
Yes.
And I really... Because...
It rings a little uncomfortable.
It's a little uncomfortable, and
especially
it's
the way in which she's treated towards the later half of that flashback, essentially.
And it's the kind of thing where I'm just like, I feel like instead of letting me know about how cool Tosh was before the story happened, it just made me feel sorry for her that she had to go through a lot of fucked up shit thanks to the British government. Was it UNIT? I think it was UNIT.
It was UNIT.
UNIT who I'm realizing now are just a bunch of fucking cops. Fuck UNIT. Yeah. I like their stupid Power Rangers red hats, but now...
Can we get Yanto one of those?
We can't talk about that yet. That's for next season.
Anything.
Anyhow, so it's weird because... And that's the problem, because I didn't feel like I needed to know their backstories, but in season 2 they tell us their backstories.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wish I had gotten something else for Tosh, because I feel like that took away from Tosh.
That's fair.
But neither here nor there.
We will talk more.
Overall, this season is very fucking strong, and I feel like I like it more than season 2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see once we talk about it.
Right.
But definitely, I mean, Countrycide, fucking Day 1, Cyberwoman, fucking Combat, Captain Jack Harkness.
Even Greeks bearing gifts.
Which I only like because it's very gay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I must admit that episode is not particularly, like, you know, and it has a one transphobic line in it, but I just like the fact that we had a fucking lesbian relationship happen on the screen and nobody...
And it was with Tosh.
And it was with Tosh. Fucking Tosh got something in this season.
Mm-hmm.
It's strange, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like I like this season the most.
Mm-hmm.
Because once I got answers to certain questions, I kind of felt that I would have rather not known or gotten something else.
Yeah, or it wasn't quite what you wanted.
Yeah, that wasn't quite what I wanted, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about you?
I will agree. I will unfortunately say that, like, it's just down from here. And, it, you know, I enjoyed the season 2, but man...
Valleys.
Fucking downer.
Yeah, but it's a 45-degree angle from here on.
Yeah, I mean, like, we can't get... Season 4 is better than Season 3, but that's like saying, you know, dying by drowning is better than dying by electrocution.
I feel like I would take a look. Never mind.
I'm just bringing up examples. I'm not ranking how I want to die.
Yeah. You know, you know. Anyway. Yeah, it's like saying, you know, I would rather fight Homestuck Stans, or I would rather fight...
Super Hulock Stans.
I can't, like, talking about Doctor Who's reminded me that Super Hulock existed. God.
Yeah, you want to go back and watch Sherlock? It's gonna suck. Suck balls.
Didn't Moffat...
Moffat was the showrunner for Sherlock.
Okay, real talk, okay? Because someone out there's gonna be like, guys, watch Sherlock. You know,
no.
Moffat did it. I literally... there's not a single cell in my body with any kind of drive to watch Sherlock. The only things I know about that show are the transphobic and homophobic parts of that show.
And racist.
And racist parts of that show. So, like, the only reason we're doing this right now is because there's a woman who gets to be the Doctor a million years
10 years
from now,
down the line.
10 years down the line. Once we live in our own home and we have like 2.5 children and 69 bunnies, we're gonna get to that female Doctor. We're gonna get to 13, and then the real test of our character will happen.
That's true.
And that's the only reason we're here.
That's the only reason we're gonna trudge through Moffat.
Do you think that there is anything in my soul that wants to put up with Martin Freeman looking like a fucking like 40-year-old fuckboy? Do you think I want to put up with that?
And Benedict Cucumber Patch.
Yeah, Benedict Cucumber Patch. Do you think I want to put up with that?
Listen, I originally gave Sherlock 2 seasons and the first episode of season 3, and I got so mad at the first episode of season 3, I was like, alright, fuck it. This show doesn't exist anymore. And then Elementary came out, so it doesn't matter. Because Elementary is way better.
And it's extra bad because the entire cast of Sherlock and Stephen Moffat were, like, very petty about Elementary.
About Elementary existing.
Yeah, and that's why I really don't like Martin Freeman, because, like,
he said some awful things.
He said some awful and borderline racist things about fucking Lucy Liu.
Yeah.
Who is a fucking
Who is a national
queen.
treasure.
Yeah, so, like, man, I'm ready to punch that man in the fucking face right now.
Yeah.
I'm ready to fucking punch him like he's a goddamn cop. But anyhow, Sherlock's not happening. Like,
no, I don't want to get that mad.
No, like, I feel like I would rather start Attack on Titan again. And
at least it's fun to look at. I'll give Attack on Titan that. At least it looked good. Sherlock don't look good.
Sherlock don't look good. Because, again, it's the BBC. They have only so much budget. Like, again...
And Sherlock only had, like, 4 episodes for a
And before Kendra gets excited, we're not gonna go back and watch all of Attack on Titan, because, Jesus Christ.
I hear the final anime is gonna be coming out.
Yeah, like, finally the curse will be lifted. Is the manga over?
I don't fucking know.
Let's pretend it's over and never talk about it ever again.
Sounds good.
Wouldn't that be funny if we never
addressed... The guy's a fucking racist anyway, so...
Yeah, the guy's fucking racist anyways, it's fine. Anyhow...
And fascist?
He denied war crimes, so there you go. Anyhow, back to Doctor Who and Torchwood.
Back to Torchwood. Yeah.
Get ready, boys. It's downhill from here.
Coming from the future, season 1 is definitely the most solid, has some of the best highs, and some of the least bad lows.
Yeah, because, like, at least Small Worlds, like, at least you can, like, look at the title and go, ha, that reminds me of Small World, the board game. That's a fun board game.
Or the ride in Disneyland.
Yeah, and at least, you can just forget about that episode. But then
forget about random shoes.
But then the bad episodes just keep coming in Season 2. And then you have Season 3 of Doctor Who, and it's just... Maybe that's why Moffat got the job, because it was just, like, there was no hope, and no one had any faith in Doctor Who, and they were just like...
Season 4 is good. Season 4 has been good. Well, I don't know. Has Season 4 been good?
The Centaurians have been fun. Except for the very triggering fascism in the part of UNIT, but, other than that... we'll talk about that.
And we're not even done with
6
Season
years
4.
from now.
Yeah, exactly.
But Torchwood, toss me another question, or final question.
Best boy. And that could be Gwen or Tosh also.
Who is the best boy? Who is the best BOI? It's tough for me because I love Yanto. I love Tosh. In my personal tier rankings, I would say that Gwen is the middle, because Gwen is my baseline for what I want in a character. You get development, you are flawed, you are, you have character to you, and you're interesting, and I like Gwen being the everyday person.
Yes.
Definitely Owen's at the bottom. I care so very little about Owen, and the fact that we have like 9 episodes about him in the next season is just kind of like, here we go.
Here we go.
There's the I Love Owen fucking 92 who's gonna fucking, their Tumblr's gonna be yelling at us because you
don't like Owen.
I don't like their husbando. Above Gwen, I'm gonna say Tosh and Nianto are the same tier, but my favorite boy, the boy, I'm watching for him. I'm watching for my boy Jack. I love him. He gets more in the next season for sure.
Do you feel like that takes away from his character in Season 1 or adds to it?
The fact that we have to wait for character development?
No, the fact that we get more character development that kind of shows some of his thinking, the way that he,
I don't think so, because the show never sold itself as... it sold itself as about, Jack is in the center of the poster. But it's about Gwen.
Yeah.
And I understand that the mystery is getting to know more about Jack, and we get that in Season 1 through Captain Jack Harkness.
Yes.
And to me, what happens in Season 2 is a natural evolution of that, as opposed to, I kept all these secrets from you in Season 1 because I wanted you to keep watching.
It doesn't feel like, like, we just added all this shit on in Season 2.
No, it doesn't feel...
It feels more natural progression.
And it feels like there's a list of topics that Russell T. Davies wants to talk about Jack, or a list of unanswered questions, and we're going item by item, basically. Yeah. And I love Jack. There's times when I don't like him. There's times when I don't agree with him. But
Small World's ending.
But literally his chemistry with the Doctor is just so fucking good.
With both Doctors.
With both Doctors, it's just so good. And every time, because Jack is good, but Jack is like the perfect vanilla ice cream for me, because he needs something else. He needs someone else to bounce off of. Yeah. And him with Yanto is great. Him with Tosh,
it's so good.
Like it really feels like he has like a really strong friendship with Tosh, and she doesn't have that with anyone else. And again, without Jack, the show would be so much weaker for me. But Jack by himself wouldn't pull this show along.
No, he needs more balance.
Yeah, and that's why the power levels are a little bit unbalanced for me.
Yeah.
And I legit feel that there isn't much between him and Owen, other than just adversarial.
You get a little bit more in Season 2, of course, where you get to see that Jack really does care about Owen and wants the best for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Yeah, and I feel like it's that element of Jack's personality, the fact that he really cares about people, and that he isn't, even though he was a con man, I don't feel like he's the manipulative kind of con man. He's the guy who ended up as a con man because it was convenient for what he was doing.
He's not Sawyer from Lost.
Yes. Well, who plays Sawyer? Isn't that the guy from Lord of the Rings?
No. You're thinking, is his name Charlie? Fuck. I think his name's Charlie in Lost. Okay, Dominic Monaghan. Sawyer's the guy with the wavy hair and the beard, and he looks like an asshole.
Okay.
And he is an asshole. He actually is a con man.
Oh, okay. All right. Jack is not that kind of guy. You know what archetype Jack is? Jack is the thief with the heart of gold. That's what he is, and that's why I love that archetype. I would say 99% of my characters are that archetype. That's not true.
That's fair. What the fuck
Lust,
did I... Sawyer. Thank you. I was like, what the fuck did I say his name was?
I'm sorry. My computer doesn't work right now.
It's okay, I have a phone.
But yeah, I love Jack.
Jack is very
just
good.
so good. But I gotta say, Jack plus everyone else is what makes him so good. If it was just the Jack goes on gay ass adventures, that would be a different show. I might like that show better, but we don't have that show. We have this
guy.
Oh, that's not what I was picturing at all.
Yeah. You were thinking of Lost. Is his name fucking Charlie?
No. I was thinking of another character entirely altogether. But No, I mean that's the guy I meant first. Yes, the guy who's Pippin, Mary.
Were you
Mary.
Were you thinking of this guy?
No, I know who John Locke is. The origin of fucking the Pokemon challenge. What the fuck is the name of that challenge?
Nuzlocke.
Nuzlocke, thank you.
That's not what the origin.
No, yes it is, because the guy who originally made that challenge had a Nuzleaf who he named Locke
from
from Lost. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah. Welcome to the 21st century where everything changed.
Mm-hmm. And Torchwood is ready.
And Torchwood is Torchwood ready?
Which character were you thinking of?
Fuck. This guy.
Saeed.
Yeah, Saeed. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I like that you. What? Sorry, I was about to do the bit with our Saxon bit that we're gonna do next season. But it's just it's me, John Locke. Oh, whoops, I just went poo-poo in my pants. Oh, no.
I'm sorry, I just remembered that, of course, because Saeed is Middle Eastern, it's like a terrorist plot line, is his backstory.
Yeah.
God, we're gonna watch Lost.
Are we gonna watch Lost?
I've decided it. I don't know if it's gonna be after or before Steven Universe,
but... Guys, I need you right now to donate to Dango Duo so I can fund my escape fund and just escape Lost.
It's not happening.
I don't... Is it really only 4 seasons?
It's like 5, I think.
Okay, see.
I said 4 or 5.
You just increased by 25%. See? And then next thing you know, you're going to check and it's going to be like 8 seasons.
It's not 8 seasons. It's like...
What if it's 8 seasons?
Lost. It might be like 6 at the most. It's 6 seasons, yeah.
I was not committed to 4 seasons and now you have increased it by 50%.
I'm telling you, 2 of the seasons are short. It has 121 episodes.
Oh, God. How many Doctor Who episodes have we seen? We did season 1, Torchwood, 2 seasons of Torchwood, where we did 3 seasons of Doctor Who at around 13 episodes each. That's 13 times 5, 65 episods?
Give or take.
It's exactly 65 episodes. No, wait, yeah, 65 episodes, because it's 13 times 10 divided by 2.
The last 3 seasons are shorter for Lost. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's better than Glee.
I don't know why. Like, no, stop telepathically telling me you want to watch Glee.
I don't. I really don't.
Especially now that one of them... What happened to Puck, and especially now? Especially after that? Don't look up Glee Puck actor. Don't do that. Don't do it. Man, imagine being that rich. And then
I don't think that he got that rich.
He had a fucking mansion in LA.
Oh, never mind.
Kitty, he did like 19 seasons of Glee.
Yeah.
And they pay like $1 million per episode. Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, maybe probably like $300,000, but still, that's a lot to be making every single week.
That's fair. I wish I was making $300,000 a week.
So you're saying we should reboot Glee?
No.
Hey, Ryan Murphy, I got an idea for you, okay?
Ryan Murphy already tweeted, because people were watching Glee during quarantine, hey, what if we made a Glee 2? And everyone collectively in America went, no.
It's like, fuck you, Ryan Murphy, and your stupid yellow hat. Like I picture. Remember that one time that that anime remade Sherlock Holmes, and it was like an anime version of Sherlock Holmes, and they've
done that many times. But...
Okay, but the anime Sherlock Holmes was like a tiny little anime girl with that stupid like hat.
You're thinking of Milky Holmes, yes.
Yes, Milky Holmes.
I think it's Milky Holmes, and Nico Seiyu is the one who voices Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, that's cool. But like I picture that hat. Okay, now get the bucket tool and then just dip it bright yellow and then just stick it in Ryan Murphy's head.
Yep.
Every time I imagine him, that hat gets bigger.
That's fair.
And bigger.
And bigger.
Fuck you, Ryan Murphy, and your huge, enormous 10-gallon hat. What if Ryan Murphy came out and he's like, guys, cowboy hat, and now he just wears a huge cowboy hat every day.
God. I've tried not to think about that man for many years now.
No, he only comes up whenever we're fucking talking about bad writing. And it's funny because, like, wait, give me your phone. We're not talking about Torchwood anymore. Because I feel like he looks like David Cage's cousin.
Yeah.
Let me just,
Oh, can I have your water?
Ryan Murphy. Ryan Murphy is the first thing that comes up.
Yeah, I'd hope so.
He really does. He looks like he's a mix between the guy from 24 and David Cage. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What if it's David Cage pretending to be American?
God. No, it'd be more supernatural elements.
You really So you think that in one episode of Glee, like
a ghost would fucking come back and you know talk to Rachel about the joys of singing, and then Rachel would sing, I don't know, fucking what's a song about ghosts?
No. You see, okay. I'm gonna pitch an episode of
Supernatural David Cage Glee.
Yeah, David Cage Glee. Okay.
Okay. But it has to have at least like 4 songs. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Kurt wakes up in the Velvet Room from Persona, basically, and learns that the reason why he's gay is because in a previous life he was a woman. Okay? And now he has to carry this knowledge. Also, he gains psychic powers for that episode.
What's his big ballad song?
Oh, his big ballad song? What's a song about being a woman?
I feel like a woman.
Or maybe he gets fucking like I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, your desire. And when he's doing that, he's doing like psychic tricks. He's like tricking people into thinking that he's like, I mean, he's beautiful, but he's more beautiful than he already is. And he's like, he mind wipes Puck.
What song would Rachel get? Because Rachel has to have a song.
Rachel needs to get a song. It's
every
true.
episode.
What would be Rachel's song? Well, I feel like while all of this is happening, Rachel's getting a stupid side plot where
with fucking Finn.
With fucking Finn, like, you know, they're off on and again, off again. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it has to be
something from like a Broadway show.
Okay. Or alternatively, I mean, I'm biased, so I'm biased, so I would like something from fucking Little Shop of Horrors. I'm like, just they do Skid Row just for no reason, and I feel like she does the crescendo part of Skid Row, but it's talking about her relationship with Finn. You know, it's like will someone out there, you know, get me out of here? Will someone get me out of here? You know, as you know, she's doing the parts of the guy in Little Shop of Horrors. That's her song.
Okay.
Yeah, it's completely unrelated.
Yeah.
Absolutely unrelated.
Is this Darren Criss season of Glee, or is this pre-Darren Criss? Because will Darren Criss and Kurt get an episode?
I definitely feel that it would
get a song together.
No. It would actually be during or after the Darren Criss as a way to downplay the fact that he's gay. So he's like, you know, Kurt's gay, but you're only gay because you were a woman in your previous lifetime.
By the way, they wouldn't get a duet together?
No. In fact, maybe there would be a bit of tension, and maybe there's some sort of like one of those like a sweet bitter songs at the end of like, oh, you're not the person I used to know, and
just somebody that I used. They already covered that song,
but they just cover it again because who cares? And then David Cage has them break up at the end. By the way, I don't believe that, but David Cage would write that because David Cage is just that kind of straightforward, stupid writer who's like A follows B always. So it's like, Kurt can't possibly be a man who's gay. There has to be a magical reason for it.
Yo, I don't think David Cage games have any gay characters.
Has there been a single? I mean, there's barely any women in his games to begin with.
I don't think you can make out with a man at all.
Has there ever been a gay character in any David Cage games?
Fuck. We're down the rabbit hole. This is Torchwood.
I mean, like, yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry. Connor Stan, 69 wants me to know that Connor, and
fuckboy cop detective, drunk detective man,
drinking problem detective man. They had a bit of a thing going on. I'm like, no, you imagine that. That wasn't real. Yeah. That didn't happen.
It didn't happen in the game.
Also, Detroit sucks.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask.
Sorry, Connor Stans.
I'm sorry, Connor Stans. Can I just talk about this really quickly?
That's fair. Then we should probably wrap this up.
Yeah. So we got a really stupid comment recently. No, it wasn't yours.
No.
And not yours either. And I know someone out there's like, was it me? No. You're all good potatoes. We got an episode comment on a really old episode, and it was something like, "Wow, it's really low of you guys to go after this very small fandom." And I'm like, kid, We just reviewed an episode of an anime. This is not a personal attack on you.
Mm-hmm.
We're here talking about our opinion.
Yeah.
Regarding a fucking TV show, who gives a shit?
Regarding a TV show, and the TV show we were talking about today aired fucking 14 years ago.
Yeah. You weren't even alive back then, most of you.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I hope you... Oh my god, look at that chinchilla.
Oh, the chinchilla's snapping. It's just weird. Well, I hope 14-year-olds are not listening to this.
That's what I was saying.
I do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, post COVID-19 world.
Yeah,
do whatever the fuck you want.
But before the war we would have said no, but now, living in the post-apocalypse, you do whatever you want.
You do, your girlfriend.
Is there anything else you want to say, my love?
After that long, tangential rabbit hole...
This how you know we haven't recorded in a long time.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll cut some of this. Probably not.
No, it all stays in.
Yeah. So it's 30 extra minutes on top of a, 2-hour podcast.
You're listening to this while farming in Animal Crossing, while doing some flower breeding. You're remodeling your town, I can tell.
That's fair. If you enjoyed listening to us ramble for an extra 30 minutes on top of all of the Torchwood today, please subscribe. Yeah. Tomorrow we'll go up the tier list for Torchwood Season 1 in comparison to Season 1 and 2 of Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. New format for the tier list because Tier Maker doesn't have a Torchwood tier list, and especially one that has all the Doctor Who episodes and Torchwood together. So we made our own, essentially. Mm-hmm. We have a Patreon. You should go there if you want to support us.
Yep.
You get... I don't think we have... Shit. Do we have any perks right now?
You get stuff early.
That's fair.
And also you support us, and that means the world to us, and especially in these
trying times.
Uncertain times.
Yep.
But yeah, remember, if you really enjoyed this episode, and if there is anything in particular that you want to argue with us about, do it in the comments.
Do it respectfully in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's talk about Yanto.
Let's talk about Yanto!
Not just our cat, but if you want to talk about our cat, that's
let's talk about our cat. Yeah. Hell yeah. But anyhow, thank you for listening. Yep. It's really hot here, and I am slowly melting away. I hope that you guys are doing pretty well wherever you are, and we will see you
on the next one. If you hear that, that's the chinchilla drinking water. Sip, 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 sip.